The 777 coming up. The Borla exhaust. Heatwave Visuals, Lean Customs, GT Radio Corvette. The Beast from the Bay, Matt Field.
I'm just gonna have to pay
What?
for a
How
ride.
did
You
I
knew what
get
you were
here?
getting yourself
live.
into.
What's up, guys?
Hey.
What
We are
up?
here. What's up? What's up? Oh, we already got Chuck in the chat. What's up, buddy?
Of course we do.
Oh yeah,
What
you
up,
said
Chuck?
I should have
Yeah,
my
he,
phone to review the chat, right? That's what you're saying?
Yeah, if you want. Yeah.
If you want. But
And
we'll
it's the
rattle
same-
off questions, so don't worry.
Same link as before, or is it a
Yeah.
different link just to view?
Yep, same link. Yep, so just click it, and you should be seeing us up there live right now. But hey, we're getting started here, so it's good to see everyone. We got Loco Ciro. What's up, Michelle? Tom, let's go. Let's see everyone popping in here. Really cool episode today. We got Matt Field and, of course, the always here Herbie, and then Sarah's in for it today. So it's
What
been
up?
freaking sweet. I'm super pumped for this. But just for starters, Herbie and Sarah, how are you guys doing today? Before we get
Great,
to our
how about
wonderful
We
guests.
doing? We freezing up here in the Northeast.
Yeah, it's
Well,
it felt like -12 where I'm at. So
Cold.
Just North Carolina. I can't really say it.
Brutal.
Just like east.
yeah,
Matt's like, damn, that's crazy.
Yesterday
Can't
I
relate.
wore a t-shirt.
I
Yeah.
Why you had
yeah,
a shirt on? That's wild.
Yeah.
yeah.
Man, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I
Ooh,
mean,
I got the chat going and everything.
yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Chuck,
Wow.
for the hair
Shout out
day.
to
I
Chuck for the nice
appreciate
hair day comment. Always appreciate it.
Mhm.
I give it my best, dude, every day for you.
It's polished, dude. It's freaking
It is.
chrome right now. Looks
There
pretty
you
good.
go.
Got lotioned up, dude. Don't want to get dry skin. in the cold
Look at you.
weather.
But yes,
But yeah.
obviously we are all here to hang out with Matt Field today. And again, thank you for coming on. I'm super excited just because you have such a unique project behind you, but you also have a lot of history in the sport as well, you know. And I want to take it back to kind of when you were jumping in to, I guess, on the Formula Drift scene. Kind of talk about the transition from when you first came into FD to what cars are like now. I just kind of just to start off, just kind of bring me back to just how
All right.
technology has changed in the last, I don't know. Have you been doing this a decade?
Yeah, I think like 11 or 12 years. Too long. Either way, too long.
No way.
So when I hopped in, I would say it's easy to say, okay, my first Formula Drift car was the car that I drove to high school. SR20, S13, stock gearbox, stock diff, chopped knuckles, and everything else basically built in my parents' garage. I was 19 years old, I think, when I did my first round of FD, which was Long Beach. I had
Right.
no business out there, none at all. Zero, like worse than a Pro-Am guy nowadays. But even back then, the cars were crazy because we need to remember that era of Formula Drift was very much like an uncorked era. The cars were extra light, at least the top tier guys, right? The
Yeah.
Falcon guys, you know, all the cars were built by ASD. You could say that those were like factory built cars for whatever. That was the most factory of drifting back in the time.
Yep.
The cars were like 2,300 pounds, 2,500 pounds on a 295 615. So that's outrageous, even to today's standards.
Yeah.
Now, the cars had no angle and the driver sucked. But and what I mean is like everyone sucked back then, right? It
Yeah,
wasn't like
yeah.
those,
I mean-
everyone was a terrible driver.
Well, my
compared to
favorite
how
parts are
insane
when-
everyone is now.
Yeah, when FD shows the old clips of the old days, and they're like 4 or 5
God.
car lengths apart, and that's like the best
Yeah.
battle they could find.
It's
I'm like,
embarrassing. I get those cringe moments when I watch, like just in general, right? Competitive
Yeah.
drifting.
yeah,
But those cars were absolutely insane. So I do think that the difference between like an entry level guy like myself and the top tier guys was still very far apart. which is similar to what you have nowadays. A guy coming out of pro spec who knows he needs to get his shit together and step it up and get ready to run on the big tire, but they've never driven on a tire like that. They know they need more power. They've never had that much power. They know they need to do all these things to the team and the crew and the canopy and the display and all of that, and they have just no idea how to attain it. It's the same thing. It's just the entire sport has taken it's an insane amount of growth. And if you look at from one year to the next, I think that we get a little bit disoriented in the growth, because sometimes you could say, like, last year to this year, is it that much crazier? Yes, no, but you really string that out over 10 years and it's like we don't even feel like the same human beings, and how badass the cars are, and it's just a different world. So I think no matter what, the barriers to entry are extremely difficult, but the top tier cars, I will say, are still equally as nutty, just stepped up like this.
Yeah, it's amazing how much growth over just like the last 10 years or 20 years. It's nuts to see back in the day what the cars looked like versus now, how all the driving, the level of competition's bananas, and you're still there giving everyone a run for their money, dude.
Oh man, I know. I'm an old guy, and I was like a young punk kid entering in the sport for the first time, and literally I blinked my eyes, and now I'm a veteran, and I'm an old dude, I guess.
I don't know. I still think you got those punk vibes to you, especially with your driving style. That's a compliment.
That'll never go away.
Yeah, good.
But yeah, so like obviously the huge changes have occurred, but we keep pushing forward, right? And that kind of brings me to what's behind you. Would you consider this the next evolution? Are we going to start to see Lamborghinis and mid-engine cars doing crazy stuff?
Well, but what if this sucks? You know, what if?
I have a feeling you will make it work.
Right. So this is the way that I look at it, right? Just like anything in its stock form or the first year it comes out, it's generally not super competitive. There's tons of things that you don't like, characteristics about the car that the driver takes a while to get used to. That works and that doesn't work. I know for sure this is going to be the same thing. The question is, though, for me, is it going to be more competitive than the C6 that's tucked away back over there? That's hard, because in my opinion, I think that my C6 is a championship caliber car. I think it's just as good as anyone else out there on any given weekend. Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse, sometimes you hate life, and sometimes you can do no wrong. But that's motorsport, and I feel like that car is a really, really good car. So for me to say, is this going to be better? Man, that's a big what if. But I will say this, when you look at the car and you look at the package and you look at what we have done and how much I have learned building this car, you're going to look at the C6, for those of you who haven't seen it up close, and been like, that is like the beater car. You know, that thing is, even though that thing's technologically advanced, there's a ton of data in it, there's years and years of development. But when you just look at the level of build, you're like, okay, I get it. I get why we went this direction. And then, in my opinion, if you just look at this, it looks like it's 20 years newer. That's just, it looks like a new style car. And for me to think, is it going to look good on track next to an E46 BMW? Like, is it going to make sense? I have no idea. But are we going to be all out here drifting Lambos and R8s and C8 Corvettes? I don't freaking know if that's the answer either, but that would be cool for sure. It would be cool. That's a rich man's drift series. That's a Chinese rich man's drift series right there.
I think it's gonna look very jarring at first, but I think it's dope. I got a close look at it at PRI, and that thing looks dialed. It looks ready to compete, like as it sat on the show floor. But I did hear some rumors either way. Oh, you're running it at first, you're not running it first. So do you want to clear up what's the plan for that specific car next year? Can you tell us?
Yes, you want the official answer right now. No changing minds. This is it. Ever since I even had this idea, I knew that the first year it was completed, I wasn't going to compete in it. I thought that the build time would have been a lot shorter than it actually was. I mean, right now I'll take you guys around it, but like the engine's out, we're doing this, I'm redesigning plumbing. I'm like, even though I did my absolute best homework and talked to the best people, I'm still learning and changing things up until the last moment. So I don't want to dig myself into a grave that I am saying that I have to do it. There's no way that this car is going to be competitive year one, at least better than the C6. Will it be eventually? Absolutely. So 2026 is the plan. And who knows, maybe even it's not the plan in 2026, but that's what I'm going to say. C6 in 2025, C8 in 2026. That's what's happening. And then hopefully by 2026, somebody else driving my C6, and then potentially even another one. That would be like, that would be an amazing achievement. I feel like.
Agreed.
Nice.
That sounds
yeah.
very
That's
exciting.
super achievement. Yeah.
Big achievement.
Yeah, I mean, visually, I'm still trying to wrap my head around a mid-engine car, trying to chase a front-engine car, and just the difference in grip level, and just it's going to be nuts. But I mean, you obviously are in the process of working on it at your shop and Drift Cave. And do you want just so people can understand a little bit, like Drift Cave, I feel like does a lot. It's a big brand. But can you just like explain it to me? Because I see it everywhere. I see it on, like, you got a website, you do all kinds of different stuff. But what is Drift Cave?
So when Drift Cave has been a business, like an official name, LLC, business license, do the whole weird thing where you have to apply for your fastidious name in a newspaper, like all those old timey things, pay your fee every year for, I think, 12 years now, 11, maybe this is year 11 or something. It started out as just a shop where me and two buddies rented because we needed space and we had outgrown all of our parents' garages. We were all chasing the dream of Formula Drift and being pro drifters, and we all eventually, like, all of our dads were like, all right, dude, that's enough. You got to get out of here. They all told us, like, at the same time, you know, it was funny. We're like 16 and a half, 17 years old or something like that. And we had overstayed our welcome. So fortunately for us, all living at home, we had, you know, a couple of pennies between all of us to go and find a shop. And it was 1,200 square feet, and the rent was like $1,000 or $900 a month or something like that. And we split it 3 ways. And what it was at first was just a place for us to work on our own stuff and chase our drifting dreams. And we all had drift cars and we all had beaters, and that was just it. And then we all were like tired of paying the bills ourselves. So we said, all right, I'll bring a job, you bring a job, you bring a job. And we just work on the job and we get paid and we pay the rent with the jobs that we brought in. That was great for, I think it was a year, maybe 2 years. And my other two buddies were like, I'm done with this. This is not the life that I want to live. I have no personal time. My girlfriend hates me. I never get any sleep. I am done with this. I'm out. I'm going to go get a job. And I was just like, fuck that. And stayed. And, knew I had to pay the rent on my own. And I'm very fortunate that my now business partner was kind of in between jobs. And I was like, dude, come help me. Like, I need somebody to answer phones and order parts and let me do the work. And you work with the customers and I'll do all the work myself. I can't do everything. And we're very fortunate that the first year that we were on our own, we kind of got a decent sized build for like a chassis up S15 build. And I had like one guy kind of working on my race team who also was then able to work at the shop full time with me. So it was him and I working on my race car as well as shop stuff with my business partner. And I kind of just was this 18-year-old kid with 2 employees and a drift shop and no idea how to do anything. But we just kept going, man. And now we're at the point where it's me and my business partner. I have one full-time guy or actually 2 full-time guys who just work on my stuff. So Formula Drift cars, trucks, trailers. And then we have 3 full-time employees who only work on customer stuff. So Drift Cave is really it's Drift Cave Motorsports. That's the overseeing thing. And half of the business is customer cars. So one of you guys, you need a roll cage, you buy a cage kit, you need it installed. Matt, can you guys take care of it? I'll say, Daniel, please write them up an invoice and an estimate. And then we'll have Adrian over here cut, grind, and weld on your car, get it to Pass Tech, safety equipment, all this. You want to buy seats, you want to get roll cage install, you want a tube front, you want a ground up build. We can do that. And then the other half is strictly motorsports, where we bring in other Formula Drift drivers' cars. Maybe, a competitor needs work done or needs transportation for the season. And then obviously working on my own personal stuff takes up way more time than I would have hoped. But I'm very fortunate that Drift Cave and the boys have enabled me to chase my dreams and fully focus on motorsports and keep a roof over my head.
That's amazing. And
that's great.
The fact that you were able to, still make it so you could afford drifting, even when like the sponsors weren't helping you, like pay for the way.
I got some crazy stories, man. When I first started, this is the best one, right? This is my favorite one. Formula Drift used to have like something called the FD rig, and you could pay to put your car on the FD rig, right?
Okay.
And then I was able to negotiate with them that I would like pay per round, right? Like, and it was all like the lower tier guys would all pay on the FD rig, right? At first. And I found a way to get enough money. Like my first year I did West Coast only.
Okay.
I'm a West Coast guy. That makes sense.
Right.
It's not too expensive. The second year I built my S14, same car that you guys still see me doing stuff with, having Julian drive, same car, built that, and needed to find a way to the East Coast, and Formula Drift had their rig. So I was like, all right, wheel and deal and shield and pay them their $1,500 or whatever it is to like get myself a one-way ticket out to Atlanta with the car. And as I was out there, I had no money to get to the next round, had no way to even get the car home, didn't even have money to go to buy flights for the next round, even if I wanted to. But I was like, I need to make it out to Atlanta. I did Long Beach, need to make it out to Atlanta. Oh, and that Long Beach, I think I made 16 for the first time, or no, that was my second 16, but I made 16 at Long Beach, which was like, we're going, like I'm in this championship, I'm in the championship. Yeah, we're going. So I needed to find a way out to Atlanta, and then while we were out there, I met this guy named Jim Guthrie, and he was an IndyCar driver, first year doing Formula Drift, and he had like some questions, and they asked me, and we're both in the rookie section, like way in the back of the pits. I don't have anything other than like boxes and a canopy, right? Probably don't even have a canopy back then. And he was just, this Matt, he's cool. Like I answered some questions. Maybe everyone else didn't want to talk to him because he's a big time IndyCar driver. I didn't have any idea anything. And at the end of the round, he was like, hey, how are you guys getting your car stuff around? And we're like, no idea. And he's like, dude, you can throw your car in my rig. I'm going. It doesn't make a bit of difference. And he had like big sick toter, stacker trailer, all the sickest everything, his own drivers. He owns, the sickest, he owns Car Crafters, which is like the best chain of body shops in New Mexico. He was just the nicest guy and literally made my dreams come true, because without him, there's no way I would ever make it to the next round. I was that was the point of my life where I was like welding diffs for $60, and that $60 was like, hey, this is half the plane ticket to the East Coast in the scum class, like, all right, I need to put that engine together for you, like bring it over, I'll get it done before Thursday because I'm flying out. That was the days. Jim Guthrie saved my year one, dude, or my first full year.
That's crazy.
Wild.
But now you're the guy that brings a bunch of cars for people now. It's kind of switched.
It's inspiring.
How do you even coordinate something like that? Because I feel like that's a big task. Because at one point, I think you had 4 cars. At one point, you were taken to rounds. How do you even coordinate who does what and all that kind of stuff?
I think I'm very fortunate that I have built a program that the employees or the people who you bring out to the racetrack want to stick around. For whatever reason, most of my guys have been with me since day one, or when they start, they don't go anywhere. The program has obviously grown and then shrank and grown and shrank. And this is terrible, but I like hiring my friends. And I think that we've all been in the position where that helps you out. And that's the worst thing ever, right? Like we've all been there. But I think one way or another, I was able to shape my program. And I think that maybe people do kind of understand my story and know that I didn't just start off with all of this. I worked my way up to be able to have this big rig and then be able to offer this program. But I think one of the biggest parts is people know that Drift Cave exists and that we have employees to work on your car. So if you're an international driver, there's not a whole lot of people that you can contact and say, I need you to stop everything you're doing and cut off the back of my car, and it needs to be done in 2 months. Like who says yes to that? You know, there are people, but it's a very, very limited amount of people. And especially, how are these international drivers going to know these shops that would say yes? It's not really a common thing. So I think that we've kind of built ourselves into a market where people know that we have the ability to do these things. And by no means are we the best. There's definitely way better fab shops out there that maybe charge less and have better TIG welds, and like there's always somebody better. But I'm the guy who always says yes, and I always freaking get it done. So I no matter what, I try my best, and I treat other people's programs as if it was my own. And I say, like, when do you need to be on track? And if that's your date of needing to be on track, well, God damn it, we'll stay as late as possible to make that happen for as many weeks as possible. We'll try our best. And I think that attitude doesn't exist a lot in the car shop world. A lot of people are like, I've been doing this for 20 years. I don't need this. We're off at 5 p.m. I don't answer the phone past 5:15. I'm the guy who, like, especially international drivers, if they message me at 11 o'clock, I'm available. Let's talk.
Right. No, that's awesome because, I mean, you've had some really crazy. You've had all kinds of drivers come through your program. You had
so many,
yeah, Masayama, the two brothers over. I think they're from Sweden, or is it?
Yeah, the Swiss guys. Yeah, the Drift Force guys.
Yeah, I mean, like you had Z's
my
cars.
S14 has been driven by damn near half the drivers on the pro field.
Yeah, for real.
I really like working with Masayama because there was a language barrier. I got to see him grow so much as a driver. And when he finished driving, it was really rewarding because he went back to Japan and would like drive with the guys over there. And some people that, like, you know, mutual friends in Japan would message me and be like, what did you do to this kid? He's a freaking animal now. Like, he's beating up on the dudes over here. It's just when you drive Formula Drift, you have this like mind. I think it's just competition driving where everything is on the line. You put your entire life into it. Any type of driving, when you do that, you come out the other side a little bit sharper, a little bit more of a dickhead when it comes to just driving on track and driving with your boys and the level of intensity that you bring, I think.
100%.
I love working with him. Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, because like I've always wondered, like, you have people coming in from other countries every once in a while and driving with you. Have you kind of learned anything from them? Like something that Masayama did that was like, oh, that's an interesting way of doing the sport or something like that.
What I loved about Masayama is his relaxed attitude with the whole thing. Seeing how chill he is going into a giant battle or a big qualifying run or something, I'm like, this guy's got it figured out. And don't get me wrong, everyone has their nerves and their ways around things, but I really like how he just handled that bit of pressure. And sometimes it worked, and sometimes I'm like, he should have taken it more serious, you know. But anything could happen in the world of motorsport. But I think what else I really liked from him was the style of approach of entries. No matter what, you could count on that guy having a sick entry. So if I was ever struggling, or you knew that your entry wasn't the sickest, or maybe you knew that you're leaving something on the table, I could for sure talk with him about it or watch what he was doing and see where's he upshifting, where's he spinning the tires. But probably my favorite thing about working with Masayama was it was testing my ability to set his car up for him and have him hit the ground running. Part of my program is that I will tell you everything that I know. I'll tell you gear ratios. I'll tell you shift points. I'll tell you whether you should be pulling the handbrake there or not. Yes, upshift. No, don't upshift. Yes, use left foot brake. Don't use left foot brake. Generally, toe settings.
Things.
Yeah, dude. I know. Even with track walk, I try to tell people as much.
Yeah, you're literally like right there. Somebody can just take one. It's like, all right,
But with the Masayama, being able to do my absolute best for him to first lap out, be crushing it, where the year before I could just see him struggle and struggle and struggle. He'll eventually figure it out. But that was one of my, like, proud moments. I'm just like, okay, if I can get him within like one change of a gear ratio and like 2 or 3 pounds, and his toe setting's generally where he wants it from his first lap to his last lap, I'm like, okay, I'm helping him head down the right path. That last 5% is totally on him.
100%. And I mean, you saw a massive improvement, you know, when he did it the next year. And, you know, but I love having some different styles come into FD, because I feel like the Americans do have their style of drifting.
Oh, yeah.
It's very,
We're aggressive.
I want to say very race car like. If that's a word, or NASCAR almost, just like
some point and shoot,
exactly. I hit one zone, then I go right to the next zone, you know. But it's like, so it creates that flair, and then even the Europeans drive differently too, which is always cool to see.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. And I'm a big advocator in trying to learn different styles of drifting.
Mm-hmm.
When I went to China to do D1, that's a totally different rule book, judging style.
Really?
What's frowned upon and what's not frowned upon.
Okay.
From what's considered tricky and dirty and just being a smart driver. Like, it's so backwards from everything we have going on over here.
Wow.
I love just trying to learn different styles of drifting.
So like, can you give me just one example of what something is different over there when you're driving?
So I was at a pretty big tire disadvantage when I went over there.
Okay.
I'm sure most of you guys know, but the tires in like Japan and China especially, China's even more uncorked. It's like basically an RC drift car. You know, the tires are foam. They feel like foam. And you feel
they're sticky as hell,
And like a Hoosier race tire or a slick, that's sticky, right? You touch it.
Yeah.
This is foam. It's crazy. It's crazy. I've never seen such shitty setup cars do wheelies. Like this.
Really?
It's insane. It's insane. But it was just a totally different way to drive to the DOS system. The DOS system really rewarded is speed, flicks, and aggressiveness and smoothness on the throttle. So if you pick up the throttle, you stay on the throttle. Feathering the throttle and getting the car to undulate and change directions would plummet your DOS score. So you would have to figure out, and me and my spotter, Daniel, we would be talking constantly and watching everyone run and then see their score and break down their sector and be like, this is why he got this score in sector 3. And did you see that additional snap? Like, that's what we need. Where normally in Formula Drift, if you're smooth and wide, it's the same thing as smooth and snappy. Same thing.
Right,
Doesn't matter.
yeah.
But you're super rewarded on these tiny little things. And it would come down to, okay, where normally you would just toss the car and touch the handbrake. Now you have to throttle, then toss the car, then hit the brakes, and then at the very last second hit the handbrake. And the difference between what I just said and then this most recent way might be like a 3 or 4 point score in the DOS system, which might be from first place to 27th place. It's so crazy. But one of my favorite moments in doing all the D1 stuff in China was I was just getting out tired. I'd qualify in the top 5 constantly because I feel like we really figured out the box, right? The DOS system. It was so hard, but we figured out we were so happy. And then I would go into battle. First battle, I generally get through. Second battle, see a big dog on some sick tires and just get smoked.
Wow.
Smoked. And definitely, I was not as good of a driver as I am now. Sure, maybe there's some better stuff that I could do, but I was just getting smoked. And finally, I was like, you know what? I'm done with this. It was like 3 rounds of just getting annihilated, getting knocked out in 16. And I was like, I'm done with this. I'm going to start messing with these dudes. Like, they mess with each other. They mess with me. And like, I'm not talking about the simple just brake check stuff, but you would do things like leading a driver into a position that made them make a correction. So I would like leave the starting line and then wait and then take off on them and then toss it in. And D1 doesn't have any, they do now, they have line, but they don't have like an actual line score before back then. Or designated line. So I would throw it in super wide, like bumper up against the foams and just wait. And then when you see them closing in, then you take off and you drive to the inside of the track. And then they have to make a correction. And once I figured that out, I was like, I got a podium right away. I did pretty good on the track. And then the funniest part, and I kind of felt like a dirtbag, right? Definitely, I'm like, man, I don't know if I wanted to win like that or do these battles like that. The lead judge himself came up to me and he was just like, Great driving, Matt. Very smart driving.
Oh my
I'm just
God.
like, all right, this is the
All
way
right.
that's the way that it was. It was fun. But that's,
Wow.
again, it's just a totally different driving style. It's more like a
Mhm.
chess game versus a boxing match.
Right.
And
Gotcha.
all the other drivers are doing the same thing. You'll see them
Yep.
hook big angle and wait. They're not brake
Mhm.
checking. They're not doing all the super obvious things. They're like
Yeah.
leading you into angle. Go
Mhm.
wide, then chop off your line and make you straighten out.
Yep.
I've seen guys
Wow.
get hit and the lead driver caused the collision, but it's like you got hit, so it's the chase driver's fault. You know, it's
Wow.
just a
That's
different
crazy.
world when it comes to a single judge drift series.
That's crazy. And like
was
obviously,
fun.
if you had the tire, you could just if you had tire, then you could just like play it safe and then catch up where you need to, kind of thing. But
And that's the thing too, how they judged an amazing chase.
yeah,
You would be able to attack in certain positions because certain sectors had more value. So you could weigh risk versus reward. Maybe
Right.
the entry had a ton of value, but
Yeah.
the first transition had like no value. So you might as well just trail back. And then sector 3 had a ton of value. You could gain maximum chase points there.
Yeah.
So you
Right.
really have to, like, as it's all happening, you're able to think, where can I attack, where can I not attack, which is cool because with your spotter you can kind of game plan both offense and defense in the lead and chase position for both laps. It's really cool.
Gotcha. That's sweet. I
Neat.
actually am gonna bring up a video here. It's your Supervision video, and I've always
Reading some comments here. That's cool. Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah we got a bunch of questions
Yeah, a bunch of
that we're gonna get to
questions, yeah.
as well. I just gotta
McGregor level shit talking and drifting. Should I be the pioneer? Yes.
but
Yeah.
all right, you guys
We
can
need
see
it.
the you see the video on the screen.
Sick
Yeah.
as
YouTube?
always.
Yeah. So we're watching Matt Field's fantastic video. I love Toge videos and I love people when they film them. And I just kind of wanted to ask you, kind of like, how was it filming something like this, you know, on the streets and doing a video like this?
So this video is. There's a lot. So this is going to be a little bit long-winded. So I
No,
apologize,
you're good.
but-
No, talk your shit.
So this was, you guys, everyone remembers, like, now FPV drone things is just a normal
Yeah,
thing.
right.
Yeah.
Freaking, you're
Yeah.
selling your house and there's a FPV drone footage on the listing of your house.
This was filmed
everything-
6 years ago. So for
Yeah.
context.
Right.
Yeah.
So in my world, there was like 2 people that were really top tier FPV drone pilots, and
Yep.
we got one of them.
Yep.
And this was before FD had their FPV drone. I don't know if
Yep.
FPV was even filmed. I'm not going to say we're the first to film like motorsport, and because I'm sure I'm wrong, but
Right.
there was just not. It wasn't normal, right?
Yeah.
Now we have it at our grassroots event. There's 3 FPV drone pilots, and they're all badass. But this just didn't exist back then.
Right.
So when we decided that we were going, because this is the second video that I did here. This is the first video with the Corvette.
Right.
I did one up on this same road with my S14. And
Mhm.
the reason why we chose this road is because this is the road that I grew up drifting. So for me,
okay.
it's so special. And like, we don't have to beat around the bush. We all know how drifting went. Nowadays it's different. But
Yeah.
you know, when I started drifting, however many years ago it is.
Yeah, there wasn't an event every weekend to go to.
No,
Yeah.
there was no
Oh,
events,
yeah.
nothing. So you started drifting in the parking lot when it was raining with your buddies. And then when you got a little bit more balls, you started drifting freeway on-ramps. And then
Yep.
that was terrifying, but you were able to do it. And then because where we live, there are mountains, we would
Yeah.
go to the mountain. And this
Yep.
road is, I don't know, 5 minutes from my parents' house in the
Okay.
like hills of San Jose, basically.
Mhm.
So we would all meet up at the gas station around the corner from my parents' house at 11 o'clock at night. And then we'd all be gassing up, and then we would go drive this mountain road until 3 o'clock in the morning. And I have flipped cars up there. I have pulled cars out of ravines. Like, I used to go up to this road with a bag with a
Oh,
Oh.
no.
Oh no, right in the middle of the great story.
We'll get him back. Don't worry. It's the perks of. Oh, and there he
He's
is.
back. You're good.
Alright,
It happens.
You're
It
good.
It's
happens.
okay. Yeah.
Keep on
So
rolling.
I used to go up this mountain road with a bag with a tug-em strap, like an off-road, like bungee
Yeah.
strap with eyelets on it, and all the D-rings and everything, tie
Yeah.
rods and tension rods, and just all the things, right? Spare tires, back of the hatchback, S13 hatchback. I'd roll up there with 4 tires, jack, power tools, the whole 9, right?
Oh yeah.
And that was just like a rite of passage for us as young drifters. It was
Okay.
like you had the guys who did this out all night, and everyone knew each other, and you would see fellow drifters up there all at 3 o'clock in the morning, and then you had the guys who didn't. And it was just to see, and it's so funny because some of the same people that I grew up with drifting on these mountains are still drifting to this day, and they are also still some of the best OG drifters that I know. And it was just a culture. It couldn't be more different than today, because I love what form.
Oh,
Come on.
Is that West Coast?
Yeah, I don't know what it would be.
2 in a row is
Unless,
bananas.
well, yeah. Maybe
Yeah,
his
but, like,
computer is dying on
I
him
want
too or
to
something.
ask him if
It could be certain
they had to
times.
have closed this road for him to do this, like sanctioned with the
Right,
city.
yeah.
And
So
everything.
that
Well,
was
yeah.
kind of
Yeah,
So I
point.
wonder.
Also,
I was-
just asked that. How hard was it to get permits for it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that my
um,
lead-in question next is going to be, okay, so when's the C8 doing this? You know, because I feel like that's got to be like one of his first videos.
That would be
here?
sick. I don't know if we're like jacking his steez to be like, okay, so
There
you're
we
gonna
go.
have like a little recreation moment of like this amazing video that he did in years past with the C8.
Yeah. It says
I personally think he might be selling it a little bit short. I think he's got some practice in with that thing. He's got to.
Oh yeah. No.
I want to
Yeah.
know.
So he asked
Welcome
me.
back.
Oh, there he is.
And you guys can hear me?
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
good. Yep.
Loud and
you're
clear,
good.
baby.
Perks of doing live streams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. So
It's fun because it's live, but also, you know, here and there.
Now I know just if that happens, refresh. The last time it just
Yeah.
restarted on its own, so
Yeah.
I'll be quicker.
No, you're
Oh,
good.
you're good.
But you were talking about obviously growing up here and obviously driving here, but like you did this for each one of your new chassis. So my question leading into that is like, when is the C8 gonna get a Getoge video? You know?
Yeah, no doubt it's coming 100%.
Yeah.
Whether it's going to be on this road or something else, maybe the Drift Appalachia stuff, because I've been talking with them. But no matter what, it's happening. The growing up on the mountain was just a rite of passage. That's just what you did. That's what I gravitate to so much. I still to this day have some of the best memories with the latest nights with the raddest people up on these mountain roads. So for me to be able to do what I did in these Supervision videos with Heatwave was like,
Oh man.
Come on, man. I wonder.
Should we all refresh it or something? I'm like so pumped to hear this story
I
and
know,
also
dude.
bully him about getting out to Appalachia more.
it was a dream come true to do that. And
Yeah.
I'm so thankful that Heatwave trusted my vision, where I'm just like, we need these, we need this section of road, and we absolutely nailed it. And a lot of that stuff was like first shot, first take, because I was very adamant that it needs to be one shot, one take. The view where the camera's right on the guardrail and I sink my bumper into the guardrail. Look at red, right on the edge, like a red dragon, right on the edge.
Mm-hmm.
Don't miss anything. I'm doing this.
Seriously.
Oh my god, dude. What is up with the... Did we anger the stream gods today?
I don't know. It's got to be on his end, obviously. I think it's on your end. I don't know if like the Wi-Fi's dying on you or what, but
How close were you to the fires anyway? I wanted to ask that.
So I'm in Northern California, so at
Yeah,
least like
yeah.
6 or 7 hours away, fortunately. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
but we have our fair share of wildfires on a regular basis up here, so
yeah.
huge
No,
bummer.
100%. No.
So
yeah,
you
sorry.
mean to tell me you drug bumper first try against that guardrail?
That was one shot. First shot, that was the shot. And afterwards, we looked, and I was like this from just destroying that red. And I'm like, this is why I said one shot. No practice, no nothing. Because if I go to do it again, I'm going to crash.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, you had driven those roads before. When you asked for permission to close it, did they ask you why? You're like, oh, seems like a good stretch of road. Definitely haven't been up there at all. Like,
Right.
seems cool.
So the coolest part about that, and I saw somebody asked about permits, the road was already closed due to dam construction on a reservoir at the end of the road. So because it was already closed, it was a simple $1,500 permit and good to go. That was it. And we just told them we're shooting a video for sunglasses, and they were like, no problem, guys.
I mean, not a lie, technically.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Maybe the raddest sunglass video ever, but a sunglass video.
Yeah. I mean, and that also brings me to another question of like, you have some of the coolest sponsors that you work with now, whether it's the sunglass companies or just like, they just seem to echo who you are. So my question is, because I feel like you're at a point now to where you can kind of like pick and choose who you want to work with. I mean, obviously, you know, like you still have to put yourself out there, but like how do you go about choosing to work with what companies you want to work with?
I think companies that have a similar vision to what I have with who I am, and I'm not just shilling some obnoxious product that I don't agree with or that I don't use, or an obnoxious lifestyle that's not me. And don't get me wrong, some of the stuff and some of the companies that I worked with before, I'm like, what are you doing, Matt? That's not you. But that was also who I was at that moment, right? So I'm incredibly thankful for all of the partners, and it helped me learn who I was at the same time. But dude, I found myself at the right place at the right time. And I know that's such a cliche, but I really feel like if you're the dude or if you're the person who's always there and always friendly and always easy to talk to, and you're cracking jokes and you're drinking beers and you're driving your freaking ass off, generally speaking, like-minded people are going to gravitate towards you. If you're the guy who's all, my car's not working, it's always something, you're always complaining, you're always late, you're always leaving early, like, of course, those cool companies are not going to want to work with you. So I just found myself to be the person who's easy to work with, easy to get along with. And like I was saying before, I say yes a lot and I make it freaking happen. So Heatwave is a perfect example of one of those companies. Like, they helped shape me, who I am, and get me to the position that I am as well. We have both grown together immensely. When they started, they were fresh off the previous name of Party Shades, where they were living this party lifestyle, and they kind of shifted into more of a motorsportsy car enthusiast vibe. And I had like a friend of a friend of a friend who knew the owner, and I saw them walking around. I was like, tell them I want to work with them, any capacity, doesn't matter. I want to work with them. They're local and they make cool stuff. And that's all it was, man. It was just getting a couple of free pairs of sunnies and doing some tags and just getting to know them. And now they're an absolute powerhouse of a marketing company who I get to rub shoulders and be associated with some of the best motorsports athletes on the planet. And I'm over here just like, so thankful that I got in when I did, because I know how many people are banging on that door and begging to work with a company like Heatwave. And I'm just like, thank God I got in, and thank God I sent that text message, and thank God. That's the cool thing about them though, right? They're like beers, NASCARs, V8s, dirt bikes, like that. It works. And I'm just fortunate that there's zero stretch. And all I do is just be myself and try my absolute best to win when I'm out on track.
That's awesome. Yeah.
That's sick.
All right. Well, let's try and hit. There's a bunch of questions in the chat, so at least see if we can get to some of these here. First one from Malik. How was working with Liberty Walk on the C8?
Oh, dude, this is a crazy story too. I'm fortunate that I've become pretty good friends with Daigo Saito over the years. Part of the reason why I did D1 China was also because D1 told Daigo that they want an American driver, and he was like, let's call my buddy Matt. He's hooked me up in different outlets so many times. So I sent him a picture of the auction that I won, screenshot of the Copart auction, and I sent it to him because I know he loves shit like this, right? The guy, that was one way to make Daigo jealous. Get a C8 before him, right? But he was pumped for me, right? Because he's all about stupid cars like this. And I said, hey, do you think you can hit up your boys at Liberty Walk and see if they would be interested? And he was just like, no problem. Literally 2 days later, one of the Liberty Walk higher ups sent me a message on WhatsApp and were just like, hey, just spoke with Daigo. We have one kit left here. It's fiberglass. It's yours if you want it. You figure out how to ship it. And I was just like, what? Are you kidding me? But I feel Liberty Walk sees sees they get it, you know? I think it's easy to say they get it when obviously I hope that they're just making millions and millions of dollars, right? You really hope so, but they just get that part of it. They sell a couple kits a year, they give away a couple kits a year, and there's this extreme exclusivity and coolness about the entire brand. So I'm just fortunate that Daigo stuck out his neck and said, like, work with this guy. Because if I was to maybe message them on my own, through my own social accounts, maybe I wouldn't have got the same treatment as that. But they rolled out the red carpet. They were there for the SEMA unveiling. I get posts on their social channels all the time. It's been an incredibly, and again, but that's what you're trying to offer to your partners, right? It's a two-way street. I'm not just saying, give me a $30,000 body kit. Thank you so much. To see the adoption into their marketing program and see how pumped the owners are. And I message them the insider pictures and they're like, can we post it? Can we post it? And I'm like, you know what? Like, it's a grainy picture sent through WhatsApp, but like they're posting that on their Instagram before anyone sees anything. And it's like, just, and they're pumped, but I'm like, you guys have no idea. Like, you guys are icons in this freaking world. And I'm so thankful to be involved with them.
That's so cool.
That's awesome, man.
That's awesome.
We got so let's bring it back quick to the C6. I have a couple questions on the C6 as well, but Malik asked, what's the biggest hardship when you faced when switching from an S chassis to a C6? And I also, before you answer that, I also want to hit up, like, you made the unique decision to keep the torque tube, and I just want to know why.
All right, we'll start with the torque tube then.
Okay.
To me, a transaxle is what makes a Corvette 100% Corvette. I'm not here saying all you guys who saved yourself so much headache and so much money by moving the transmission to the front, you guys aren't driving a Corvette. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is it was a great year for my sponsorships, my partners. I had good money coming in. The amount of interest that I was able to drum up on announcing that we're building the new car brought new partners in. And there's like, I had the budget to keep it transaxle.
Okay.
And I know that most people's number one decision why not to do it is because it's really freaking expensive. You got to buy a sequential, so that quadruples the cost of any gearbox that you're going to buy right off the bat. You have all these billet mounts and everything that are pretty much the cost of some of these gearboxes out there that would work in normal pro level drift cars. You have to run a quick change. I feel like that's no matter what going to happen. And you're basically committing yourself to, instead of a clutch change taking me an hour, it's going to take me 4. Like that's like, so that costs money. The fact the sequential costs more money, right? All of these things. But I am also very fortunate that Chris Stapps and the HGK team, they had already done a Samsonus mounted to a Winters, upside down Winters. They had all the brackets, the torque tube, they had the shift cables, they had it all figured out.
Butterballs.
Tell everybody in his shop to get off the Wi-Fi.
Yeah. They should be working anyway, right?
So for me, having HGK have the solution for it, it was like, it sounds terrible, but it was like, it's just money. Where doing the front-mounted transmission is a ton of fab work. There's a ton of figuring out. Now your off-the-shelf exhaust doesn't work. You're fabbing a trans mount. You also figure out how to put a diff in there, so that still has the cost associated with it. And I was kind of weighing spend the money versus the time. And at that moment, I was basically building the car by myself. Addition of like 2 friends who came by. Graham would come by after work all the time and just help me wrench on this car, and my other buddy Rye. And both these guys had jobs and would just come by and help me work. I had to just weigh, sometimes I had to just spend a little bit more money when it became a bolt-on application. And that kind of was the goal with the Corvette, because I was just a regular guy building a freaking car that was way outside of my wheelhouse and way outside of my means at that time.
Hey, and I mean, how many years do you think it took to get it to where you were happy?
Probably 3 years, I think. I went down a path of roll center. We're getting nerdy here. Of a roll center correction that I was like, this is what you have to do because this is what you do in all cars, especially S chassis. And my brain was just clogged with S chassis that I couldn't flush out things that were just habit and intake new and open-minded ideas.
Yep.
And when I finally
Damn it.
Dude, I just don't.
Right when we get to go to the good stuff, talking about S chassis.
I'm about to tell him to go move to his office.
Yeah, should I?
Yeah, I mean, if you got better Wi-Fi in there.
I have full signal here. It's crazy, and I always do everything right here.
All right, you're good. Just keep rolling then.
No, I think it's just luck of the draw is shit.
Yeah. I just told my guys to hop off the Wi-Fi, so maybe that helps a little. Once I became open-minded with it, the setup took very much so.
Okay.
But it was honestly Part Shop Max. I cost those guys so much money. I can't believe that. It was a terrible business.
Oh man.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying.
Yeah, we're sorry,
feel-
chat. Is this
I
the
feel
highest
bad.
chat we've ever had? We have 37 in the live right now.
I feel bad for him too.
Me
I
too.
know.
That's gotta be frustrating.
Dude, he's like popping in it. Yeah. No, but I mean, he makes a lot of good points because like when he did it, obviously Dirk was the only other guy that was running C6s at the time. So like he had to do a lot of his own research on the whole chassis itself, and
Pioneers
didn't
of the chassis.
well, it didn't happen overnight. And like that's the thing with a lot of these unique chassis that some of these guys are dealing with. Like when we were talking with TLO and he's trying to build a C7, it's like
Yeah.
it's
That's
like
how I feel
that's
it's
gonna
gonna
be
with the C8 though. Like you
Yeah.
know how he was saying, like like he's looking at both the chassis, and you got the older one, you got the newer one.
We're on
Yeah.
the
This one's already at a higher like base if you take them from base to base. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
Well, and-
like
and-
it's just years of development and things like that. So
exactly, and which is why I'm really curious to see what TLO does with the C7, which is actually one of my questions for you, Matt, is like, do you have something against C7s, or you just didn't make sense to build one?
I think C6 looks better, but that's not my reason. I built a C6 because that was a car that was like, sorry guys, getting set
Oh,
up
you're
here.
No, you're good, brother. It's okay. He moved too much.
Oh man. Oh, okay. Wait. So I gotta clear it up. Dirk runs a torque tube, right?
Yes. Yep. So
Okay,
Dirk
so-
runs torque tube. Josiah runs
I feel like
front
it's
mount.
split
Taylor,
50-50.
Taylor Hall. It's definitely more common to run a front mount trans. For most people that build them, like it was Taylor Hall, Taylor Ray, all those guys are all front mount trans. But yeah. So what's wrong with C7s?
I built a C6 because C7 was a brand new expensive car, basically. And a
Yeah.
C6, you could still get them flood damage from the auctions. And I knew that was going to be, C5s and C6s share the same suspension. And
Yep.
it was a decision between me and Part Shop Max. We knew that could potentially be like another one of the cars, one of the iconic drift cars that people say, what do you want as your first drift car? And they would say Corvette. We knew that with the C7, it was a little far-fetched at the time. But nowadays, yeah, normal human beings can buy a C7 and afford to thrash them. They're still expensive cars, but it's a normal thing.
Yeah.
And for me to say, all right, I'm going to build, because I built a new chassis. So my current Formula Drift chassis is my second C6 chassis. I was like,
I swear, dude. I swear. I don't. Ah, man. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else I can do to help them. This is a bummer. But, all right.
like, is this?
This is more than normal. Normally we'll have like 2 random dropouts, and it could be any one
normally
of
it's
us.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, normally it's Herbie. It's been me a
Yeah,
few
I've
been
times.
good,
But
It's
dude.
been
yeah,
Nate.
I've never
Taking
had
all
this
my-
much trouble before. But it's all
Yeah.
good. Like, worst case scenario, we could probably jump to your phone if you wanted to.
I know. I'm wondering if I should try, but it was one of those things where it doesn't make sense to build a completely different car because it literally like unbolt off the C6, rebolt onto new C6 chassis. So it was a no-brainer when it came to that. And then I wasn't gonna when I decided to build the C8, it was because it's a C8. not
Right.
because I needed a new project.
Right.
It was because if
Yeah.
we don't freaking do it, somebody else will, and we got to be the guys to do it first. And then, of course, that got way out of hand.
100%.
As
You
they
did it
do.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
well,
are you like officially graduated from an S chassis guy to a Corvette guy now?
I make this joke, but it's really not even a joke. I could care less about driving an S chassis. If I never drive another one again the rest of my life, I will not be upset about it. But no, dude, I have a very soft spot in my heart, right? I grew up driving S chassis.
Mhm.
A really cool thing is driving my S14 with the heat maker, like Julian Jacobs knuckle setup on that, because it's so different from everything that I ever ran. All the practices and all the things that I was trying to achieve with the part shot max and the
Yep.
trail knuckle and the super long arms and all the competitive level drifting style S chassis front suspension. He threw that in the freaking bin and has a stock control arm and a chopped knuckle on there, and the guy's an absolute animal. So I got to drive that car at Winter Jam, and it's so different. But I'm like, I'm smiling right now just thinking about it, you know.
Yeah.
And his seat, he's tall as hell, so the seat's super far back and super low, and I can't see. And then he's like, "Do you want to put some pillows?" And I'm like, "Nah, I'm gonna just enjoy it the way that it is." And driving it like this, trying to hook it backwards, going down the hill at Sonoma. But yeah, I'm more than like I have a badass S chassis. Really, still probably decently competitive to this day. It makes 950 horsepower to the wheel.
Mhm.
It's got a dog box, a quick change, rear mount. It's got all the fancy stuff, and I don't even drive it. I would rather have Julian drive that car and me drive my Corvette, and I learn to drive like him,
Yeah.
with him.
Interesting.
Nice.
So we got a
How did
cool.
that relationship start between you guys?
Yeah.
Julian and I are both OGs in the Northern California
yeah.
drifting scene,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Just two different paths. I went competitive drifting. He went have fun with drifting.
Yeah.
Either way, we
Style.
both have been drifting like the same amount of time. And whenever I would drive with him and the Animal Style boys,
Yep.
I learned something every single time.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand how or why, but it's a different style. It's so different to competition level drifting that it might as well be like D1. It's that amount of different.
Right.
How they load the car, where the angle comes in, where you throw angle, where you don't throw angle, where you're shallow, how grippy the cars are, how light the cars are. The power delivery is so different. So I drive my demo car with them, and it's 1,000 pounds heavier on a completely different tire, and it's just like
Yeah, you could see the stream struggling.
Mhm.
Yeah, but that
Yeah.
time he did. Normally you can't. Normally
Yeah,
it's just
so, like,
a random.
I'm gonna see if I can text him. See, can you? He needs
Dude,
to
the whole phone
do it
thing
on
is
his
gonna be
phone.
hard, dude.
Yeah.
It's
I
such a
can't
bummer because he's
describe
like a
all that.
wealth of knowledge, and I'm like trying to soak it up, like sponge it up, all the cool
Yeah.
things that he's saying.
Yeah. No, we'll get him on. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I'm gonna quick
Of
text
course,
him.
this would happen on my last Tuesday.
Yeah,
He's
I know.
back.
I know.
you.
I use
I
Chrome.
believe I'm in Chrome right now.
Yeah.
Can try Safari.
You could.
Could try that. But
They think you have 1 million trophies behind you. He does. He
I
has
wish.
exactly 1 million.
I have a lot less than I want. That's for sure.
Yeah.
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 Are you hungry this season? Are you extra hungry?
I feel like I'm the right amount of hungry. I think
Okay.
if you're extra hungry, which I've been in years past, your entire existence solely hangs on the last run of the night.
Mm-hmm.
And that's definitely not necessarily the case anymore. I still want to win better than anyone. I still put in, I don't know if I put in more work than anyone, but I put in as much freaking work as humanly possible. I'm up
Yeah.
early. I work out. I eat right. I do all the things. I drive on the off season. I got the freaking Logitech sim going. I build myself a program to be the best absolute driver that I can. I drive with different people, different mindsets, different tires, different tracks. So I'm doing the best that I freaking can. But I'm very fortunate that my entire life doesn't hinge on that last run of the night.
That's a really good mindset to have, and
Yeah.
it sounds like all the extra work you're putting in outside of just like preparing the car, preparing yourself, it sounds like it's paying off.
Yeah, I feel like
I
out
hope
of
so.
all the drivers, you do hold like the best like pre-race like mental workouts and things like that. Even like mental workout, physical workout, like you always seem like you find yourself into like a different mental zone. And I think more people should probably like take a little piece of what you do. But like, where did that come from? And like, when did that all start? Like, you do seem like you have a Zen type thing.
Man, I used to be a partying, nonchalant, just focused on the wrong things type of kid. And one day, one of my best friends, Ripper, big boat guy, you guys all know him, had a good, nice, hard conversation with me on the way home while we were driving home from an event. And it was just like, listen here, dude, everything's changed over the years. The car, the sport, the sponsors, the tires, the program, everything's changed. There's one thing that hasn't changed. You're still doing the same shit that you were doing in high school. You're still doing the same shit you were doing the year before and the year before that. So why do you expect anything different? And I'm just like, holy shit, he's right. Why would I expect? Why do I go from getting knocked out in top 32 and then all of a sudden I think I'm going to win, like without any changes? No, stupid. So I just decided right there, like cold turkey, all the bad shit that I was doing and focus on myself. But don't get me wrong, it still took like years before I was in the gym every day. Still took years to find a place where my body was happy. It took years to even become when I know that I'm hydrated. You know how hard it is just to even be hydrated in this life? You know, it's like, it's still a process. And I'm also very fortunate that I found CrossFit. Going to the gym by yourself, you spend more time on your phone than you do actually working out and getting a workout. I think we've all been there. Like, I'm going to the gym, and then you go there and it's like weird anxious feeling. And can I use that machine? And I absolutely hated everything about it. Then I found CrossFit, and I found a 5'4" lady to yell at me at 7 a.m. and make me kill myself every single day. And that changed my life. So that was definitely like all right, I'm able to flip this switch. And the way I look at it is, if I do hard shit every single day, the hardest shit that I can do, and I work my absolute hardest, when it comes to battle, which is the hardest thing in the freaking world, at least I've been doing hard shit. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, so you're used to it. It's just another day.
Exactly. Just another day. Exactly.
Great
100%.
mindset to have.
Malik's got a really cool question here. He says, how was filming / being teammates with Odie? With him being in suspension guru, did he help development with the C6 and that side of it too? Or is that like a separate thing?
So I'm super fortunate. Odie and I have had an open book policy since we started being like frenemies. Before we were both on, I think honestly, really our relationship started in the Nitto days, but it really kicked off when we decided to, like, it was so funny. He gets a Nitto deal, I get a Nitto deal. We're both on Nitto for like 2 years. Then that whole thing blows up in our face, and I'm like, fuck yeah, dude, I got this teal and blue deal. We have arrived. And then what did you know? 2 weeks later, Odie got his teal and blue deal. So we're just like, damn, you know? And I think that we both gelled in that this is our life, and we are absolute nerds when it comes to this. I might know way more about this, but he definitely knows way more about that. So for me, I realized I don't know shit about suspension. I knew pretty good, but nothing like what Odie knew. So for me, I used that as an opportunity to learn as much as humanly possible. And then the flip side of it was he used, how do I make this power? How do I get this reliability? Maybe some stuff with some partners and some program stuff with that. How do I get this hillbilly gearbox to work with this? Like, there was a lot of back and forth that we learned together. And I think that a lot of you guys who have been watching Formula Drift for a long time probably saw Odie and I pushing each other. There's weekends where he would whoop my ass every single practice run and then smoked me in 16. And then I had a good run on him where I could not lose a battle against Odie. It was amazing, you know? So, but I will say a lot to do with why my car works and why I have triple adjustable shocks and why I actually know which direction to go with the dampers on any given weekend. A lot of that has to do with Odie. So I think having him as a teammate taught me so much. And dude, let's be real. The guy's an absolute badass. So if you're driving
Yep.
against him and you're making that your standard, like you're going to be leveling up as well.
100%.
Would you say that he's your like friendly rivalry in FD, or do you have a bigger rival?
I think yes, that's absolutely the friendly rival. I have people who I like less than Odie for sure because I love that guy. But Odie is definitely one of those people who I love to beat, and I really don't like losing to.
Right.
You know, like you lose to James, you're like, man, the guy's like the best in the world, you know. But I
Yeah.
really hate losing to Odie,
No, for sure.
and I'm
Like,
sure he feels the same way.
Yeah, I think every driver has that one guy that they're like, God, I love beating that dude.
right?
And
No.
it's so funny because you have that person, but then at the same time, him and I will be talking gear ratio and toe settings and strategy with how to do this.
That just makes the win
transition,
that much
you know?
sweeter because you know each other
Yes.
is on the same level field, like playing field.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's funny. Odie's putting a dry sump on one of his cars, so he's called me about 10 times this week alone. And I'm like, open book, give him all the answers. You know, I want him to have something reliable. But when it comes to like Long Beach, first run, media day, kill you, dude.
I love that. I think that's a unique part of drifting. I know we've talked about it a lot on here before, but just like, you know, your homie that you share information with, and then as soon as you're on the line about to run him, it's like, you know, all bets are off. But in the pits, it's, hey, here, you need this part, I have this part. Hey, try this. Hey, your suspension's this. So I think that's unique to drifting, and it's honestly one of my favorite parts. I know we yap about it often, but
because I think setting up a drift car is like black magic. You know, it's a dark art. There's no one answer. There's no one person. Your buddy next door, who's a badass ripper, will tell you everything that he has on his car. You'll put it on your car. You can't even wheel it for the first lap. So it's like there's this black magic that's around with it. And Odie, I think, is one of the few who I can have a conversation where I'm like, I will learn something talking to this dude, and we both of us together, or one of us will arrive to an idea where we're like, I'm gonna try that, and that might catapult you down this road that's good or bad. But it's definitely like there is no one recipe, and that guy definitely is. He's down to freaking try some stuff, that's for sure.
We got a cool, interesting question from Leek. He says, has your experience in off-road and marine motorsports helped your drifting or marketing career? Just like your little side deals you do and stuff like that?
So I'm very fortunate that racing's in my blood. My dad has been doing off-road racing as a hobby for as long as I can remember. Like I have pictures with me as a tiny little kid standing next to his off-road truck. And my dad is an absolute bad. Like if any of you guys haven't met him, like he's a freaking badass. He taught me cutting, grinding, welding, wrenching, swapping, wiring, mechanic stuff, fabrication stuff, how to load a trailer properly, how to freaking secure something down, like how to back up everything. He is a freaking badass. So to be able to do the off-road stuff with my dad, that's what it's all about. It's about being able to spend time with my dad. I absolutely love it, but it's definitely not like on a professional level. It is him and me going racing together. We ran championships, and he's won a lot of races, and we're finally at the place where he picks and chooses what he likes. And he was just over here picking up parts earlier today. I got him a Holly hydromat, an air motor fuel pump, and a fuel safe top hat because we put EFI on the truck and we need to upgrade the fuel system. So like it's him. This is the kind of stuff that I talk about with my dad, and I'm like, that's what the off-road thing is all about, is being able to share time with him.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and you know that style of driving always is it's much different, but you use a lot of.
You ever gonna race any boats?
Yeah, so me and Ripper did 2 boat races so far. We did one out around Catalina and back in Southern California, Huntington Beach. Literally leave past the pier, around Catalina, back, and then.
Dang.
That was a good run.
We had a good span of time.
That was a good bit.
Yeah.
Hey, anybody else, as soon as you hear the word Catalina, you go, it's fucking Catalina wine mixer.
That was a good run. That was a good one.
Yeah. We did West Palm Beach, the Bahamas, and back.
Ooh.
And both of which it's basically an off-road race on the water.
Sick.
You get the shit out of you. It's like you versus desert racing is. And to do that with him is obviously something special, because with him, we're not just doing it at any old boat that he bought. That was a boat that was his family boat growing up. And
Oh yeah.
when his dad died, he gave him the boat with one blown engine and one engine that was definitely needed to come out. And
Mhm.
Ripper's over here, 16 years old, no truck, no trailer, no means owning a 40-foot power boat, no
Yeah.
money, job earning $10 an hour or whatever. So he kept this thing up until the point where he was like, all right, I have my own business. I'm doing pretty good. I can afford to start spending money on the boat. So once that kind of came to the position, he bought some engines and COVID
Mhm.
hit. And I was like, all right, my whole program's dialed. I'm ready to go racing, but we have nothing going on. Let's freaking do this. We're going to get this thing done in like a month. I know it. It took a year, but we we completely rebuilt this boat, and then
That's beside the point.
and then yeah, but that's how it goes, right? And then now
Yeah.
that's the boat that him and I get to race together. So it's like living part of his dad's, you know, childhood with his father, and him and I are going out and doing these races that both of us really have no business doing, because we're not in the powerboat racing tax bracket, but we're finding a way.
I love that.
That's
Drifters are
amazing.
taking on the powerboat racers.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
sick.
that's hilarious.
Well, it's
I
so
mean-
funny because we show up, all of our heatwave gear, heatwave boat, some small, my partners put in some money in to do. We hired a helicopter, like we really showed up, but it's because
Yeah.
we like begged for pennies and put this program together, and our buddy hired that guy with the backdoor deal, and it's like, you know, we're bringing the drifting style of partnership and sponsorship and media content to the powerboat racing world. So it looks cool, but yeah, we're pinching pennies on that one for sure.
That's amazing. So there's a couple more questions in the chat I want to get to, but first, I wanted to get to. I gotta pull up the questions again that I had, because there's one of my always the challenge with drifting. I feel like is to always trying to be on. No,
Just kidding. I'm
Well.
just kidding.
We're just goofing. New
Yeah.
boot goofing.
So let's.
I was gonna ask him
I
about
think
how
you
he's
should
always
leave
like,
that, I think.
yeah,
The challenge with drifting
is always trying to be like on top, and you always seem to be now in that top like 5 drivers in what
Mhm.
seems like at the end of the season. And but like, how did you get to that point? Like, and I know that's like a terrible way of asking the question, because I'm sure that's a giant long-winded answer, but like, I guess we did talk a little bit about the mental side, but is it a mental thing? Because there's a lot of guys I feel like in Pro 1 that have a car that could do something, but it's like some of them it's okay.
I'm just kidding. I thought you got kicked that
Yeah.
time.
Well, some of them it's the mental side, some of them it's the ears back. All right.
I am back. I was just seeing if I can get it to work on my phone any better.
Yeah, you have to
do you
copy the
think?
link, and you have to copy link and then put it in a URL. You can't just like hit the link. It's kind
Yeah.
of annoying.
I
but-
was just impressed that you've been a contender. Like even the year that they were using you like a pinata, you know?
That's I mean, he usually uses other people as pinatas, so it's like
Yeah.
I think he's on his phone now. Maybe.
Yeah, he's on his phone.
Yeah. Looks like we're on FaceTime. Looks like we're besties.
Oh, there he is. Sort of. I got no club cam too. Oh, there he is.
I can
There
hear
he
him.
is. There he
Okay.
is. We're good. We're good. All right.
Cool. We'll try this.
Hopefully this doesn't kick you out.
Yeah.
But
I heard you. I heard the question. So for me, it was like I always knew that I could win. Like that's it. I knew even when I absolutely couldn't win. My first round of Long Beach, I went in there thinking I can win this freaking thing, no doubt about it. And I
Yeah.
think that most of us who end up making it to pro have that same mindset.
yeah.
Now, it is absolutely a recipe. The car can't let you down. The car has to be easy to drive and fast, and you have to have a certain amount of skills in order to win battles. But for me, I always felt like I had all of that. I put in the work, I had the package, but I couldn't quite put it together. You know, I would get lucky and I'd win some battles and I do okay and I make some Final Fours. But what really changed it for me was just the mental switch, saying, this is my life. I'm taking it serious. I work extremely hard on all other things, but am I working hard on myself? And the answer was definitely no. The answer was always like, I'm up too late. I don't get enough sleep. You're eating shitty food all the time. You show up tired to the racetrack. You put in too much work. You don't trust your guys, so you're there late. Da 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 da. Right? There's a million things, but it absolutely was the. Can you close the door? Thank you. But it absolutely was the taking it serious and making that mental shift. That
100%.
was everything to me, because once I believed in myself, then I learned new skills, and then you all of a sudden have capacity to go to the track a little bit more, and you have capacity to say, okay, I'm going home, I'm going to wake up in the morning and I'm going to think about this, and then for whatever reason you have the time in your mind to think about this, and then when you go out on track you're able to execute these things. I think that most people always focus on the last lap of the weekend, but my focus shifted to the first lap of the weekend. And that, once I started thinking in that manner, that was like, boom, you're starting to win battles. Or before that, you're starting to have good quality practice laps. And then you back it up at the next round. Then your first lap off the trailer is a really damn good lap. And then you go into your first chase lap, you're like, wow, that was a really good lap. So I think with me, it was just trying to get ahead versus constantly being one step behind.
Well, I mean, you put on one of the best shows, I would think, for this company. And what I'm kind of going into now is OEMs. And the challenge of OEMs, and I don't know if it burns you to see how much Ford has been helping out with the Mustangs and all that kind of stuff. But what if you were to pitch GM, kind of like, what is GM missing out on, not like obviously being in this sport? And then also, like, I don't know if you've ever had talks with them. I was just curious if they've ever even been close to like thinking about getting involved.
Dude, I have knocked on every door, called on every friend, every connection, every single outlet I have tried. Obviously, not every single one, because I feel like there will be one right person at the right time to connect me there, and then I'll be breaking down that freaking door. But this is my whole pitch to GM, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just want you guys to know who I am and what I'm doing. I don't want $1 million. I want you guys to tell me, like, yes, we do like that core.
I swear, dude. I don't know what it is.
I wanted to hear this.
I know, right?
I'm so curious, dude. I wanted to hear the answer. What would you say to GM?
Yeah. I mean...
Ooh, okay. He's back.
All right. Sorry, guys.
Dude, it's okay. We're so curious to hear this.
My pitch to GM is, I just want you guys to know who I am, what I'm doing. I want you guys to share my content. I want you guys to be able to tell me, like, Matt, we love it. Make sure that you got the Corvette emblem here. Cool. Check. Good. Done. That's all I want. Let's start there. Let's just start there. And then maybe after a year and you guys realize that I'm pretty cool and I do cool stuff and my cars are pretty all right, then you'll be like, Matt, we have this event we would love for you to show up to. Either, suit and tie, or you show up and you're going to give ride-alongs to these people, whether it's drifting or not, just being inserted in these little things. And then maybe at year 2, they're like, hey, we have a small parts budget for you. And I'll be like, give me some C8 headlights, because them suckers are expensive. Like, give me some of those, We'll start there. And I have tried just so many different outlets. I've tried friends like Amelia, you know how she was working with GM when she got her C8. She put in a great word for me. I talked to that person. That person was on the events, and then it just kind of fizzles out. Then you have like the Formula Drift route, where the marketing team at Formula Drift has these connections at GM Performance. They show interest. Matt's our guy. Let's get 1, 2, 3 steps, and then it fizzles out. And then it's just it's been this way since the beginning. But it's been extremely frustrating now that we have the C8, because I know that once the right person realizes what we're doing, they will get behind it. But I've just heard from, and I don't mean behind it like, here's $1 million, we want you to be Pratt Miller. Like, that's not what behind it. I just mean just being aware.
Just interested, want to be a part in some way, shape, or form. Yeah.
Exactly. So I've tried. This was one of the biggest ways that I thought, I was like, oh, this is for sure going to get me in.
Yeah.
Alex Bowman, the NASCAR driver,
Yep.
Chevy driver, big drift guy, also
Yep.
big Corvette guy.
Yeah.
Got connected with him. Him and I talk all the time. When he was building his car, he was calling me 2 times a week, asking questions. 6XD, like he built himself a sick C6, and I
Right.
helped guide him along the way. And I'm like, I asked for nothing. Then at the end of the whole process, I was like, hey, what do you think? Do you think that you could, like, who's the guy? And he's like, dude, I'll absolutely mention it, but I'm going to tell you right now, GM doesn't even like what I did to my C6. Like, I have a C8, I lowered it and put wheels on it, and they're like, why did you do that, Alex? So it's just, they don't, what Ford is doing over there, they see this grand vision, and they see the aftermarket, they see the racing, and they are getting behind that.
Yeah.
GM, on the other hand, I've been told, has this outlook like, our cars are perfect, leave them alone. We sell cars. So, I
It's
don't know.
almost like a
Bruh.
BMW type thing where you see Dylan flipping over the symbol on his car just
Yeah.
because they don't give a damn, you know.
Exactly.
It
So,
is such a
bummer.
bummer, and it seems like an old head mindset, like in a not a good way to think that way.
I know. It is absolutely an old boys club, and I thought for sure that I would be able to infiltrate this old boys club, but they know I'm still just a punk drifter. They know some way or another.
I don't know, dude. I think that your day may shine here. You've been consistent and persistent on
Yeah.
getting this to happen. So
Yeah.
and really, you are like the guy that spearheads all of
Yeah.
this. So
Well, and it's just tough because like from a GM performance angle, like the most popular engine to use in Formula Drift is an LS. Like you would
Yeah.
you would
Yeah.
think like, hey, GM Performance would be like, yo, we are selling LSs off the shelf because of this. And it's like,
where are they going? It's like,
Yeah.
wait, we got a couple of drag racers, but like these dudes are just stupid.
Yeah, nonstop. So I was able to just like, here's my pitch, right? And
Yeah.
I also, like, one major thing was, I'm trying to, my sell to GM is like, look, we're making Corvettes cool again.
yeah,
Before the C6 was adopted into drifting, all of us looked at it the same way. That's an old man's car.
Where's-
We
where-
like GTRs and Sylvias.
where's your
right?
New
Like,
Balance,
that's-
bud? Where's the
Yeah.
New Balance?
Yeah,
Jean
that
shorts?
was the stigma.
Yep.
So my
Right.
pitch is like, we're making Corvette cool again, one car at a time. And what the story that I tell is like, I get messages on Instagram from these kids, right? They're 14 and a half years old, and they're asking me questions about a C5 and the type of stuff, they're just like writing it down, like, all right, C5 dream build, like these knuckles, and like, all right, I'm gonna get this steering wheel, and I need these seats, and like they're
Yeah.
building this car, and they're like notebooks. I'm sure they don't have notebooks anymore, but like that's what we did, right? But
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
kids are still writing these builds up. It's gonna be years before they have a car. It's gonna be years before they can afford a pair of coilovers. But you know what's crazy? Now you have these kids who have Corvette on their like dream car list, like first car they're gonna build, C5 Corvette.
Yep.
And I just want GM to see the big picture where that kid, yes, you're right. He is not going to buy a brand new Silverado. He's not going to buy a brand new Corvette. But when he gets a job, he will need to buy one of those things. And let's make him a lifetime customer now, a 30-year plus customer now, and make him a Corvette fan. And all it's going to take is just for them to realize, like, GM is in this world and GM cares about us little guys.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
what
and you got to remember too, every time you buy a GM vehicle, you got to buy parts when they break.
Yep.
You
no
know, and
matter what.
they make money off of that. So it's just like one of those things where it like Ford has done such a cool thing with Vaughn. Like Vaughn just released a Mustang with Ford. Like
Crazy.
Yeah.
Like it's like
When you see Nissan with the Frontier, it's a Frontier,
Yeah,
right?
with
Or
the
Forsberg?
Frontier with
Amazing.
Forsberg. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. Yeah. It's really like to see that in what we do is like, holy cow. Like it is obtainable. Like it truly
Exactly.
is.
Yeah.
Now, will we see a Matt Field Corvette? That's a
Yes.
That's a stretch.
Manifest it. Manifest it. We will see it.
Man.
yeah. No, but
I mean, that C8's going to get their attention. I'll tell you what, especially if you send that down the toe gate a little bit. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
Just
it's
your-
happening. It's freaking happening.
Who built your exhaust? It's Borla 2 man,
Yeah.
but you guys did like
No. So, right, the C8 is like It's so
They-
ridiculous, man.
We could talk for another
Makes-
2 hours on just the C8 alone. Like, it's
Yeah.
I'll make
insane.
this one short. Basically, we got CAD files from GM, which means that we have the entire chassis.
Yep.
Okay? Part Shop Max was able to attain this through SEMA stuff. And what that means is that we're able to build all of our suspension off of actual GM CAD. This
Yep.
is huge. So what that means is that we are able to then place the engine exactly where it goes, place the gearbox exactly where it goes, place the collector exactly where it goes. And Borla is also able to build their exhaust around the actual CAD. So what that meant was that all of these tubes were built in the computer to be completely equal length.
Yeah.
Obviously, 8-to-1 is why it sounds as crazy as it does.
Yep.
But the big thing is that it's sequential fire. So the firing order, this, cylinder 1 goes here, then the next one up goes here, then the next one
Yep.
up goes here. So it has this spiral effect with help
Correct.
scavenging and taking all the exhaust gases
Yep.
out. And Borla was able to design all of that with their in-house CAD engineers. Get back with me and my engineers, like the C8, you don't just have, I'm going to be just cutting and grinding for 2 hours. I'm
Yeah.
like in an engineering meeting for 2 hours with my engineer and their engineer. And what the hell? Who would think that I'd be in an engineering meeting for 2 hours discussing the angle of the flange of this, right? And what type of tabs we want to attach the collector. But, dude, I will say, Borla had it all dialed in. I'm like, all right, Matt, drop the car off. And literally in like 6 working days, that whole exhaust system was built, and I picked up the car, finished it, and brought it to SEMA. Insane for them to be able
Wow.
to do
Damn.
I mean,
that. And that's all in their location in Southern California, in Oxnard.
That's incredible. It's like, you wouldn't think it's like that complicated, because it's like, oh, there's all this room, and like, but like, it needs to be compact,
Yep.
And and there's like you said, there's an engineering like formula behind the length, but
Mm-hmm.
between each single cylinder and everything like that, so you get the right compression. You're not, losing, pressure and shit like that. So
It was crazy. Like, I asked the engine builder. The engine builder's like, I'm not a the type of engineer it is. He's like, I don't know that. And I tell Borla, and they're like, okay, well, we'll know. We'll do some research, and we'll figure it out. And then we came up with tube size and RPM, and it's a formula, right? And then, like,
Yeah.
we're all kind of learning this for the first time. But the cool thing is that everyone involved on this project poured their freaking soul into it. So it's as best as any of us can actually make it. Not one thing is it like it should have been like this. Like, if it should have been like that, we did it like that. But that's also why it took so long.
it is definitely the first C8 that I actually like to look at.
Yeah,
So
I would agree.
and especially listen to. Good
Yeah.
golly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So Malik asked about your switch from Falcon to GT, and he's asking about like the specifics, like, well, not the specifics, but like, is the difference like pretty significant going between the two tires? But before we get into the actual tires, I just kind of want to just take me through, like, how did you find out that Falcon was pulling out, and like, how was that day?
Dude, I will never forget this day. We were at an event at the end of the year. It's like
Yeah.
the last event of the year in December. And I got a call from the big boss. And when your phone rings and it's the big boss, it's either amazing or you are fucked. So I saw that, and I thought, there's no way that I'm fucked. Like, there's no way. We
Right.
had a great year.
Yeah.
Like, Falcon had a great year as a company as a whole.
Yep.
It was like all the pieces were in play with the grid lives and just
Yep.
everything. We were scaling up, not scaling
Yep.
down,
Mhm.
basically. And to be honest, I imagined like my last Formula Drift event, taking off my my last Formula Drift event ever, retiring, taking off a teal and blue suit and hanging it up on my wall. Like, that's
Yep.
what was in my mind for my career.
Yeah.
That was it. Falcon was my home, and I never planned on leaving. And I told myself, as long as you do good enough to get on the podium a couple times, they'll likely have you as long
Right.
as you would like to stay. It is an amazing legacy brand, and I felt so honored to be able to wear that teal and blue.
Yeah.
It was a badge of honor. So when I got the call that they were no longer doing teal and blue, and then also not even going to be able to offer us tires, it was like sheer panic, because that was my title sponsor and my tire sponsor
Yeah.
Yeah.
all in
Yeah.
one. So losing one of those things is career ending,
Right.
right? We've
Mhm.
seen that. Losing one of those things ends driver's career.
And at
So
the end
to
of
lose them,
December.
dude, yes, in December, and me
Yeah.
not having a single conversation with a single tire
Yeah.
company or company for title
Yeah.
for years, 5 years. I never
Yeah.
even.
Yep.
I don't even have these guys contacting my phone anymore. It's been that long. But at the end of the day, Falcon did everything that they could, and the reason why they told us late, I think everyone gets this kind of sour taste about it. They're like, they told you in December, but they told us in December is because they've been fighting for us for 2 months to not
Yeah.
let that be, right? Let's
Yeah.
trim that budget. Let's trim that. Let's lose that. Let's ditch that. Let's do that. Let's do that. And then the last option was what we actually ended up getting. So they tried. They tried for months and months and months to make it work. So. I'm really fortunate though that I just came off an amazing year. A championship fight right until the very end. I got on the podium damn near every round that year, and we were buzzing, man. We were absolutely on top of the world. So when I started making phone calls, it was great to see that the people on the other end were excited to receive my phone call.
Yeah.
Because you never know. Oh, here comes Matt begging for tires, begging for money. Like that's generally the world that we're in, because there's just not enough tire suppliers and too many drivers. That's just the brutal truth of it. So you really have to be the top tier to even get a tire deal nowadays. And I'm just so fortunate that Falcon believed in me. They took their time with me, and year after year we constantly improved, and I had some of the best years of my life ending with Falcon. But when I picked up the phone and I called Mike from GT Radio, he was one of the guys that was happy to get my call. Obviously, he was devastated for what had happened, but in his mind, I think he's just like, I have the ability to now win the Tire Cup. We have the ability to now win a championship, a driver's championship. So for him to get that call and to see how excited he was about me calling him, I'm like, oh, this guy Mike fucking gets it. So I'm, fast forward being with them for a couple of years now, I have found my new home. What Mike has done to the sport of drifting and how much he has put GT Radio on the map and what he has done for the sport. Hell, there would be no pro spec without GT Radio. Not a chance. Not a chance. And I think that he's constantly worked with 5 to 8 drivers in the Pro 1 category. That costs so much money. Not to mention willing to sell tires to drivers. No one does that. No, it's very rare. Literally, Mike from GT, he has made Formula Drift possible for so many people. And I'm going to even go out there and say for Formula Drift as a sport for the past 5 years. And, they signed on with an additional, 3 or 4 years or something like that with Formula Drift. And I hope that this is I'm hanging up that GT suit when I'm all done and driving. That's my goal. I will be with them as long as they will absolutely have me. I know I still got to be competitive. I know I got to leave it out there on the track. I know I got to get on the freaking podium. But as long as I do that and I check those boxes and I crush some beers with Mike, I think we'll be good.
Yeah, he is definitely a good dude. I think I feel like you guys, as soon I don't know how long you've met him, but when the first time I met him, I was like, holy cow, this is a genuine man that cares about the sport and
about drifting, not just about his paycheck from his tire company and who cares about the rest. No, that dude is
he's a passionate, gets passionate about it, and very cool.
It's awesome to see, and the fact that they're willing to literally have that many tires out there for pro spec and all of those drivers. I forget the number that they said, but it's in the thousands, I think, in tires they change in a pro spec weekend. Which is insane. But I mean, more power to them, man. They bring the crew out and they get it done. I think so. It's awesome.
Them and race treads make this freaking circus go round, dude. Frank and what he has built over there at race treads. Without them, so many people would be absolutely screwed. Absolutely.
It's true. We got a question from Phil. Phil is a fellow Corvette driver, and he was just asking on some basic. I'm going to assume setup tips for Corvettes. His is nothing crazy, I don't believe. It's probably angle kit and would you say stock factory power or close to it?
He might have FDF on there.
I don't think he's
stock
forced
power
induction yet.
Yeah, definitely stock.
So I'll say this too. I'm obviously going to answer, but anyone else who's listening, especially Corvette guys, if you send me a message on Instagram, I check all the time. I
Yep.
will answer all of the questions.
Yep.
All of them. I want us all to be driving well set up cars, even if it's stupid technical thing about the key fob not working. I'll try my best to answer the questions. This is literally what I do every single day. I'm a freaking dude at the shop, so please hit me up. I'm so happy to help.
Cool.
So yeah, make sure you're following him. Do you want to shout your socials really quick, just so everyone can go give you a follow? Instagram, YouTube,
Matt
whatever.
Field 777. I'm a big Instagram user, so hit me up on Instagram. You don't even need to follow me. You can still send me a message. I'll still answer. I'm not a dick like that.
What a nice guy. I hope Chevy's listening.
What's this question? What do we got? Fire it off.
Well, no, it was just general setup tips on your on like stock style Corvettes, probably with a kit on it. Okay. Yeah.
Dude, that's the cool thing. Even stock versus not stock, generally speaking, like most of us all have at least some sort of angle kit in the front.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I would say one of the biggest things is getting your spring rates right. I don't care what coilover company you have or what it came with. Put 18 or 20 kg front springs and 9 or 10 kg rear springs.
Okay.
You can go, the 9 or the 10 if you have a super lightweight car or whatever, but if you do 20, 10, you're going to be right on the money.
Wow, that's really stiff in the front. Holy cow.
Yes, really stiff, exactly. But also double wish. So we got to remember, double wishbone cars is a little bit different world.
Okay.
As far as the rear goes, because the rear is
with the Seto last night, actually.
You geeking out? Hey,
I texted Alex Jager. I was like, I'm like, I know some things. I was like, what do I do? And dude, walls of text later. I'm like, dude, you don't text me as much when it's my birthday.
That's awesome.
Damn.
That's the thing. I think most of us are happy to share our knowledge, and we're still learning, all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And going in, whatchamacallit, Go 777, he said that your car is available on a Seto.
Right. So I actually reached out to him to have him build the C8, simultaneously revealing it at SEMA. So the reveal, when I pulled the sheet off at the Borla booth at SEMA, at the exact same time, we dropped a link that you could download the C8 in a Seto. And I reached out to some amazing people to help us. I don't know if it's called like configure. I don't know what it is, where you actually like build the dynamics of the car.
Yeah.
It's way above my pay grade, right? Way above my head.
Yeah.
But they're asking for dyno graphs and weight balance and all this stuff. I'm just like, I don't exactly know. I haven't even had it on the scales yet. I'll tell you in 3 days. It was like right up till the wire, because we finished the car right before SEMA. And even then it wasn't 100% done, but it was done enough to be able to reveal it. I sent a ton of pictures, and I'm just super thankful for the whole online team that was able to get that thing out. And you know what's hilarious? Because I'm kind of new to the sim. I try to drive the C8, and I'm just like, this thing's terrible. I can't even drive this thing. I see people killing it. I just suck.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that sim world, I've recently got into it. You're recently getting into it. It's such a massive world, though. I mean, obviously Herbie's a big sim guy over here.
I still got the G920. I got the OG lot. I got I got 1,000 hours on that thing.
Holy moly. For me, having Logitech hop on board too was just this cool. That's another one of those right place, right time. Got the call. I'm the guy who said yes. To make this deal happen, it was Orlando FD.
Yep.
And then the next weekend was the boat race. The Bahamas boat race. So I've just planned on staying there for, the week and a half or whatever and going. Logitech, we were kind of in talks through Momo, because now Momo supplies steering wheels. Like you can buy your Logitech setup with Momo components and everything. So I got inserted through the whole Momo deal. And they were like, hey, we want to shoot this video, which I don't know if anybody's seen, but it's been on my social channels, and they started posting all about their new sim setup, mostly focused on the shifter handbrake because it is like drifting. So they wanted a drifter's point of view. And I finished Formula Drift Sunday morning, hopped on a flight, went back to San Jose, which is my hometown, which is where their headquarters are. Go figure. Dream come true, basically, right? Monday morning, bright and early, did the whole shoot with them, and then that night, hopped on a flight, went back to Orlando. That time I flew to West Palm, went back to West Palm so that we could finish getting the boat ready, go through tech, and then put it in the water the following day. So it was
Jeez.
like just this, but I did that. I was the guy who said yes. I could have
Yep.
said, I can't do it this week because that. Can we do it next week?
Yeah.
And who knows what they would have said. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Right.
But I said,
That's cool.
you want to shoot it that day? Yes, I'll be there. And
That's
I
cool.
freaking flew my ass there, put it all on the line, and obviously it's a deal that is now growing and growing every year, and I look forward to working with them into the future. And it has been an amazing learning opportunity for me because I'm not a computer dummy, but I don't know all of the things. Like I was just telling you guys, I was on before I switched over to my phone.
Yeah.
I got my Logitech gamer headphones on there. I got my sick 4K webcam on there.
Yeah.
I'm really trying to put it all together. I have a sim in the back that I got together.
Yeah,
My partner
looking
has
good.
so I'm
Hell
trying
yeah.
to put the time in. All you got, I see everyone is just like, Matt, let's get doors. And I'm like, I'm not ready, guys. I'm not
Yeah.
ready.
I ain't showing my face, and if I do, my name's
Not
gonna
ready.
be just player.
I've been putting in work though. Like at least 4 days a week after work, I'll put an hour in on the sim before I go
Yeah.
home. So I'm getting there. But absolutely, any of the bros who's listening, who wants to drive with me, like give me a couple weeks. Let me move
Yeah.
shops. Let me get my sim set up, and then I'll be online, and you guys can push me around the track, I guess.
It could possibly help you to drive with the AI things online. Honestly, like because the
I
sim,
did that.
yeah,
It's amazing.
it is good because obviously you know what to do. But like when you have that visual to like attack, it's like I'm
Yes.
going to do everything I can
Yeah.
to make this work now, rather than when you're just solo. It's like I fucked up again. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like damn,
exactly.
Yeah. Shout
You
out.
have something to shoot for. I
Yeah.
mean, just like anything, driving by yourself on track in real life is boring. It's way more fun driving with boys.
That's
Yeah.
true. Shout out Reese Marin in the chat. He said, "Yes, sim is rad." I just quick question for you, Reese. If you can get back to me in the chat, what does Matt have to pay you to win the championship? I'm just curious. I just want to see some dollar amounts here. No, but
It's
I
only
think
money, baby. Come on, Reed.
I think he can be bribed with. He's a big foodie, so I think he can be bribed with like cheesesteaks and whatnot.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
but
I don't
let's
want to
be real.
speak for
Any
him.
cheesesteak that I would be providing is not up to par.
no.
Oh, true.
This is true.
Come on. Let's be real.
Hey, I think tacos too. You guys are big known for that out in California, right?
Oh, yes. God, I know. We're very fortunate. My shop's in Morgan Hill, so it's a little bit of a small town just south
Yep.
of San Jose. And there's
Yeah.
no late night food other than like fast food. And we just got the most amazing spinning meat pastor where they like slice it right off the freaking fire
yeah.
spit right onto the top, right onto the tortilla, and it's the best.
Oh my gosh, I'm jealous. I'm
Yeah.
jealous.
Thank God.
That's amazing.
Mm.
We got.
But yeah, Reese, if you're listening, my goal is that we'll be driving on the mountain together, and then my plan is to also make it out to Hyperfest. So I've never
Let's
been.
go.
I see all the boys throwing down, having a rad time, so I absolutely want to make it out. And that's the plan this year, is to utilize the C8, bring it with me in the trailer, and do all the coolest stuff out there on
Yeah.
the East Coast.
Do you
That's
have
gonna
it?
be so sick.
Do you have a tentative schedule for next year that you want to do?
Yeah, so I just got the dates for the Appalachia stuff
Yep.
to see what fits in. And then I know that the Hyperfest schedule has probably been out, but after talking with Edgar and kind of figuring out what might make sense logistic wise,
Yeah.
and especially the fact that Formula Drift Atlanta is also Grid Life Atlanta. So
Yeah.
my goal
Bro.
is I'm putting the C8 in the freaking race hauler with the C6, and
Yeah.
we're bringing it to Atlanta. And then after that, I have like 3 or 4 things that I want to get to out on the
Yeah.
East Coast. Definitely some mountain road stuff, definitely Hyperfest, and then we'll see what happens after that. But I think that I'm going full dickhead this year. My C8, my C6, my semi, we're freaking going.
That's
Hell
cool.
yeah, brother.
So
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if the option's still out there, but like, are you bringing any other like programs with you this year in FD? Are you not allowed to say anything, or I'm just curious if that's like a.
There's been some last minute stuff that has unfolded over the
Oh.
last week. So
Oh, dang.
whatever that means to whoever pays the most attention, I don't know how many people pay attention or not, that is a strong possibility, and that would be
Okay.
quite the program for us to join forces together.
Oh, that's cool.
And
Awesome.
yeah, I want to make it happen for sure. It's something that would be great for longevity and growth in the future, not just like a 1 year in, 1 year out kind of thing.
Okay.
And then another driver who is, it's one of those things. It's just like maybe we're a little bit late this year to really
Yeah,
put
yeah.
something together, but maybe I can do something similar like what I did with Masayama, where I
Yeah.
just advised for year one.
Mhm.
And then year two, we put together a program and he sent his car to the shop and
Yeah.
we went over it and then we kind of grew
Mhm.
from there. So I'm thinking that
Gotcha.
that's potentially going to happen. And I love doing those deals because what it means is like their team has full access into my pit.
Yeah.
They show up on setup day and I give them the playbook. Let's go over spring rates. Let's go over
Okay.
alignments. Let's go over driver strategy. Let's go over spotter strategy with me and my spotter.
Yeah.
Let's get you a gear. Let's, set you up with some spring rates. You bring your car over to my pit. We'll put the
Mhm.
Wonder Aligner on there and we'll do our own alignment so we know what it is right here. Then you go run and race. And I kind of just put that out there with hopes that it comes
Yeah.
back in the future in the next year. So we're
That's
probably
cool.
going to be doing something like that and then potentially
Cool.
the other thing that we just talked about.
That's
But,
awesome.
both things, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm here to help, but I'm also here to try to enjoy this year to the fullest and make sure that I have time to go out and enjoy driving
Yeah.
the C8 because I don't want to spread myself so
Yeah.
thin that becomes a hassle. Like I want to have
Mhm.
so much fun in that, and that's the goal.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Right.
it's crazy that what are we like a month and a half away, and stuff's still getting figured out. It's like it's just one of those
Crazy.
things.
I know. It's
Nate,
rough
does
for
this mean
sure.
that we're gonna hang out at for Grid Life? Can my ticket be a little bit later for Atlanta?
Yeah.
Oh,
Actually,
dude.
no. I'll probably just be driving that one.
Then apparently I just wanted to kick everyone out. Apparently. Oh man, so this was apparently my fault.
Honestly, dude, it wasn't your
Apparently it's me.
setup or anything because you got kicked on your
Yeah.
phone too. It was just
Everyone got
overall.
kicked. Although then
Well,
we got
that
moved
was you.
around.
It was really
That
you.
was you that time, brother.
Apparently it was me. But
Yeah.
perks. All right. So I think we're at the point of the show where we get to ask my favorite question, and that is, do you have an Andy Luck story in all your years of being at Formula Drift? Is there an Andy Luck story that you can tell us legally?
So I used to be on the shit list.
Oh,
But,
okay.
like I'm on the love list now. I'm very
Okay.
lucky that I'm on the love. But I was on the shit list forever. But for good reason. I
Yeah.
was a punk. I was late. I was doing
Yeah.
whatever I wanted. I was just constantly getting in trouble. Wrong place, wrong time. I was like, I deserved every bit of it. But
Yeah.
it was at the first year I think I got invited to media day, which was probably year 2.
Okay.
And that's like an Long Beach is an early morning, but that's an extra early morning.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
like you get there at 5:30 a.m. Like you're at the track at 5:30 or something
Yep.
like that because road closes at 6:15 or whatever.
Yeah.
And I knew that, and I didn't used to be a morning person. So we're all in the pickup, we're all in the truck, we're all packed in, and we roll up. And I still have like a bit of an attitude, so I like leave my window up when I see Andy kind of walking up. I didn't maybe like know
Yeah.
that I was in trouble, and like I just left my window up, and he came right up to the window, and like I was late, so he had to
Yeah.
like specifically tell people to open up and all of that. And instead of just being like, "I'm sorry, thank you, Andy," I was just like, "Yeah, let's go," And then he bangs on the window right next to my face, and I was like, "Oh no!" I didn't even know he was there, And I roll down the window, and I just get a hefty amount of spit chewing, just a real ass chewing right into my ear at 6:08 in the morning, pretty much, right? But that meant that I was 20 minutes late,
Mm-hmm.
and I got my ass chewed out. But instead of doing what normally people would do at 6 o'clock in the morning, I was just like, I understand completely. I'm sorry. Like I suppressed my inner punk. And
Yeah.
I said sorry, and I said it won't happen again, and then we went about our day. And then probably ever since then, like, I have been getting better and better and better and better. But yeah,
That's
I got
funny.
a real straight ass chewing. And that's hard to do. Like, imagine being that fired up at 6:08 in the morning. Like,
Dude.
that dude had
Yeah.
his coffee that night.
Yeah.
I mean,
He's been torqued up since 4 a.m. at that point.
I mean,
Oh my God.
it's so funny because I think he's one of the happiest peoples at the end of an event. He's like, it's finally over.
Because it's over.
For sure.
I mean, he
No doubt
probably
about it.
honestly turned around after that and had a smile on his face.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
because he loves chewing people out.
Oh
He
yeah, it
loves.
gets
Yes.
him off.
Yeah.
It definitely gets him going a little
One
bit.
time I asked him, I was like, hey, who's in trouble today? And he's like, maybe you. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you gotta watch your back, and if you're gonna do something wrong, you better look over your shoulder before you do it, because he'll see you.
Yeah, it's true.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, that's why I love always asking about him, because he's the one guy that everyone knows. Everyone has had some kind of interaction, and it's cool that someone can be that in the drift world or the FD world, where it's like, because to be honest, we're a small family. We see everyone 8 rounds every year, and it's like, by the 8th year, you know pretty much everyone out there, like at least on the media side, and like I've been coming enough to where like I know pretty much all the drivers, and it's such a cool little family that we've kind of created. Even though FD seems like a big scale thing, it's really not,
No.
you know. And it's just great to kind of see that we can, you know, come hang out on a live stream that likes to kick people out, you know, randomly, but you know, it is what it is. But again, I want to thank you, man, for taking time out of your day, because this has been, even with all the cuts and stuff, like I've learned a ton. It's been you've had some really cool like just points that I've always was curious about, especially like the GM thing. I was like, it's just one of those things where it's never really made sense to me, but you know, you're the guy to ask for that, so it's like, and like the
I
thing
know, and it's so funny.
Yeah.
From the other side, people are like, "Why?" Like you'd have people, "Why aren't you working with GM?"
Like it's so easy. You just call them up.
Yeah,
Like,
I've been trying. Yeah.
like you just fucking hate them or something, dude?
Yeah,
Like-
exactly. I know. Yeah.
No.
Well, it's because I think I can do it better. So I don't really.
Yeah. Actually, I'm building my own chassis. and
Yeah,
it's-
exactly. Exactly.
No.
Yeah,
but
thank you guys for having me, for
Yeah.
sure.
Absolutely.
I like doing this stuff. It's always hard to carve out the time because I
Mhm.
literally have to tell myself, like, all right, you have to stop working at this moment.
Yep.
And you guys saw before we fired it
Well,
up.
yeah,
I'm
like it
moving
was still
boxes.
daylight. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, oh shit, it's 5 o'clock there.
yeah, that's the hard part. Like it's the kind of the fun thing. And guys, thank you for everyone in the chat that came out. This is obviously our highest viewed live show interview that we've done, so appreciate.
I should we go check out some of the comments real quick before
Yeah,
we
there's-
fire off this thing?
There's a ton.
There's a ton to get through, but any good
yeah.
ones that you see, Nate?
Yeah, I didn't know if you were limited at the 2-hour mark, so I didn't want to take too much of your time. But any idea why we don't see anyone drifting starting a tire company? That's a question from Phil, for example.
That's an interesting question.
Drifting, starting an entire company. I'm not sure I
So
understand.
no.
what that
So a drifter starting a tire company, or like trying to
Oh.
do their own tire company thing, which
I
to
would
be
think
honest,
you'd be a scientist.
I feel like
Well-
the money.
means. Yeah. I think it's because
yeah.
when you're like, all right, one tire mold costs $150,000, and that's
Yeah.
one component of the whole manufacturing thing.
not even
There's just not a lot of drifters who.
well,
can
and you have to
maybe work up that
also
bill.
think like the legal side, getting it DOT certified and all that kind of stuff, and like you like obviously you got Odie who's got the suspension company. I mean, and you got like other guys that are making like Josiah who makes a bunch of parts for like Corvettes and stuff, suspensions, or like you got all these Rad Dan who builds 2Js.
Yeah.
So like we got all these guys in the industry, but like a tire, the cost of entry, I feel like for that kind of deal would just be so hard, and
Too hard, yeah.
it
Yep.
Exactly. I think it's like low hanging fruit, you know, if you businesses are successful because they find an outlet that is needed and then they go and service that outlet.
yeah.
Tire companies and drifting, I feel like, okay, in the pro drifting, we can't count that, but
Yep.
as tire companies as a whole, like there's so many out there. And I think that the easy way around it is like, let me go work with that company. Maybe I can be a distributor. Maybe I can turn into something like what Frank did over at Tire Stacks, which will then grow and build relationships. So I think that makes a little bit more sense than trying to figure out where to farm your rubber from, you know,
Yeah.
Do I go with Malaysian rubber? Or I don't
Yeah.
know if that's the conversation that we need to be
Yeah.
thinking.
Exactly.
Well, then you
Yeah.
got Malik had asked if you do plan, because you had spoke about it, to run your own Corvette drift team, and if it does become a reality, what's the biggest changes you would have to implement to simplify and or elevate the program?
So end result within the next 3 to 5 years would be my old C6 chassis,
Yep.
put that together for Pro
Mhm.
1. My current C6 chassis put together for Pro 1.
Mhm.
I'd like to have one international driver and then potentially one US driver
Okay.
in those two cars. Me driving the C8,
Yeah.
and then finally GM is starting to come around where they see the
Mhm.
value in that, and then we start planning for like the next 2 years, which would put us in that 5 year of putting together an additional C8 and then running like two C8s or something like that
Yeah.
in Pro 1. I love the Pro Spec series, but it's also such a pain in the ass because
Yeah.
if you're doing both, it makes your days extremely long. And even
Mhm.
when we all separate ourselves, and that's the Pro Spec team and this is the Pro 1 team, there's still late nights and
Yeah.
early mornings, and they become.
Yep.
Ah.
Damn it!
Good.
All right, we might have to call this one, y'all.
Nah, he'll be back. He knows. He was preemptive too, even before. Sorry, he's like, we got 4 minutes. I'll be right back. And he...
Very good. But
But yeah, that's it. I want to
Mhm.
put somebody in my car, and
Okay.
everything that I've done up until this point is taking care of somebody else's car. But I want to be in charge of the sponsors. Like for me, I have my manager Brandon Scarpelli, who I want to be able to bring on board, where we now are selling partnerships to that other car with that other driver and expanding my program and what we have going on, multiplying that times 3. Its own additional unique
Yeah.
partners, its own additional unique media package, the driver that fits
Mhm.
that car with that lifestyle and all
Yep.
of that. So that would be the
That's
goal.
cool.
I don't want to just keep doing the same thing that we're doing. I feel like year after year, I've been one of those people who try to grow, try to do something different, take some risks, learn something, do something different always. So that to me is the next big different thing that I want to do. But I feel like it's not something you can rush. Everything needs to make sense.
No, I feel like you're taking the right steps to it and taking the time and really like just having the idea and knowing the vision that you want to have, you know? Like you're not
Mhm.
going to settle for less than what your vision already is. So,
Yeah. No, it's true.
We'll try,
Yeah.
Alex. Yeah.
yeah.
Malik asks, what's one thing that's something that's commonplace in modern day drifting that you wish you had in your early days of Formula Drift? I would say
Commonplace.
events.
Yeah, no kidding. So I'm very fortunate that probably by year like 5 that I was drifting, events started becoming a thing.
Right.
Damn. Saw
I need
that
to
one
tell him
coming.
to stop moving his arms because I feel like every
You
time
think
he
that's
starts
it?
There's no
moving,
way.
I don't know.
It could be.
Well, it's the frames they're trying to catch up with his movements and stuff, and then it just like they
Maybe it
can't
has a
send it
circuit.
all. I would rather it just freeze at least or something.
Mhm.
Yeah,
But
I thought that's what was going to happen there.
yeah, but regardless, I mean it's
Yeah.
just one of those things where it's like
It's been a good. It's been a great stream, even though he keeps popping out.
Yeah.
Like it's
Oh, he's
one,
back
one
on the
of the best
computer,
streams.
baby. Let's
No.
He's
go.
back.
He doesn't.
Woo,
He's
woo.
like, screw this. We're just gonna make this
Yeah.
work.
Phone died.
Oh,
died.
okay. So it wasn't the internet.
Oh shoot, that's funny. Well, damn, man, that's all right.
Yeah,
But,
we'll go with events
Yeah.
for sure because I used to have to travel from Northern California.
Yeah. What's like
Yeah.
the
And now there's like too many events to do them all. You know, it used to be back in the day, be like, oh, I can't wait to get to these events, and now there's so many that you're like, I have to pick and choose what to
Yeah.
go to.
How did you actually like? What event earned you your pro license?
Oh, so
Uh-oh.
can you hear us?
I'm gonna reload.
He doesn't want to end the
Doesn't
stream,
have
so we're gonna keep. I'm gonna
somebody
keep
grab
rolling.
you.
That's fine with me.
Yeah.
But it's
Hello.
like, I do actually have one more question to ask him when he jumps back on. All right, can you hear
Thank you.
us?
Yeah.
Yep, you guys got me?
Yep.
How did you get your pro license actually? Like which event
Oh.
granted you?
Yeah, so Top Drift, which was Just Drift, which was the kind of the only series in California then, and that was at Willow Springs. So it was like a 4 or 5 round championship all at Willow Springs.
Wow.
So for me being in Northern California, I would have to drive 6 hours every time to go to that event. And that was great. I mean, it teaches you how to pack a truck, load a trailer, strap stuff down, book yourself a hotel, learn how to sleep in your truck, that kind of stuff.
It's true. Oh yeah. I had a question. It was in my head and I don't want to forget it. Where do you want the last round of Formula Drift to be? Not.
Oh yeah.
Where, if you had a choice, where would it be?
I think having it in a downtown LA venue is very important. I think Southern California is still the hub for partners involved in drifting. The majority of them are in there.
Yep.
So the talk is that it's some sort of downtown LA venue. Of course, I can say like, oh, it would be so much cooler if it was at this track or that track or that track. But like, let's put all of the driving to the side, because no matter what, the driving is going to be hard. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. It's going to be challenging at any venue. Even the simplest venue becomes difficult when you have all the best drivers in the world throw down in the craziest cars. So I think it's important to have it be in a downtown LA venue. I think that's where all the partners thrive to. People love it that they can bring their families out and it's only a couple hours away. And I still think that the biggest partners in the sport are still majority in Southern California.
Gotcha. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah,
like that's
a great answer.
Yeah. No, it's true. Malik asks, what new technology innovations, and you have to pick one, not 8 in your C8, that you think will be a standard amongst regular competition in the future?
So I've had this on the C6 tire temp sensors.
Okay.
I've had that since I built that car, but now I have front and rear tire temp sensors on the C8, and I think that is going to be one of those like, oh yeah, everyone's got tire temp sensors. We put so much emphasis and we put so much brain power, and there's so much stress and anxiety in that warm-up box that if you are able to alleviate 10% of that by just looking at a number and 4 little tiny sensors that run to your dash, what kind of benefits could that potentially have out on track where you're just not thinking, did I get iced out? I need to roll back and do a burnout. I need to do this. I need to do that. You could just pull up to the line, look at them, go. I think that more and more people are going to be adopting that, especially because the majority of the field now all has digital dashes. Most people have a link aim or an aim dash across the board. So all you guys can do this. It's all accessible. It's just a couple of parts and some config work, but I think that's going to be more of a normal thing. And especially because it's cheap and it's accessible from everyone. You guys can call Olga or Robbie at AIM Sports and say, I want those little belt temp sensors for a UTV that Matt uses for tire temp sensors, and you'll have them tomorrow.
No, it's a cool point. Like I remember, like, and if any of you guys want to see info on this C8, go check out his channel. You got so many videos on this thing. I mean, Larry Chen's got a video on it. I recorded one with Link. So like, there's so much information to talk about with this car that you kind of were just like a kid in a candy store when it came to the technology. You're like, oh, let's do this.
For sure.
If we missed a question or you didn't get your question answered, head over to his socials, leave him a comment, shoot him a DM, show him some support, show him some love. And it was amazing having you on, dude. I learned a lot.
Thank you guys.
Even with all the cutouts, it still was one of the best
we still
streams
made it.
we've ever done.
I think we had an episode drop today of the C8 build, and this is a pretty big episode where we actually go to the dyno. So you guys have been, anybody who's watching on YouTube is like pretty much caught up live time. There's a lot going on in the background, but we're on the same day basically that we're dropping videos. So hopefully the next video is maybe another dyno sesh and freaking driving this thing. So be on the lookout.
Exactly.
The video with you and your mom was very wholesome.
How crazy was that, right?
Dude,
that was the first time.
I comment or I message you. I was like, dude, the feeling that this must have had was
crazy.
Like it's just surreal. Because like you said, starting off as a punk kid, you know, so to say, and then now like a punk grown up. Here we are.
Yeah.
You know, like we're just living a dream.
I'll
you know?
say this too. My mom had such a huge part of drifting for me, and at least being able to take it serious and turn it into a career.
Okay.
So I had this deal with her. As long as I went to school, like college, school, she would pay my entry fees to the drift events.
Okay.
So I'm like, all right, I'm living at home. That was another deal. You can live at home if you go to college. So I was like, well, I can't afford my own place because I spent all my money on cars and racing. So I guess I'm going to college. And of course, I'm so fortunate that my parents were able to do that for me. And I learned an incredible amount going to college, even though a lot of it is freaking bullshit. But the big thing that I took away was that I was able to move the pieces around, find time for everything, and my mom to be able to continue to pay for my entry fees, going into Top Drift, earning my license, and then I think she paid my Formula Drift entry fee my rookie year as well. So that was huge for me to be able to do that. Like that was where there was no money coming in, there was no sponsors, no support, but my mom paid my entry fees, for quite a while. So I'm incredibly thankful. So for me to be able to share that moment when she was probably, charging her credit card the $120 for Top Drift entry fee for me to go out and get my license, and then now we're driving the most ridiculous drift car in the world with all my money went into this freaking thing, and for us to just have that moment.
Fraud? Is this a fraud?
You good? For us to be able to share that moment in that car was extremely special because my mom has been a supporter since I was 16 years old. So.
That's great.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And you do respond to DMs. I got a confirmation from Phil that you've answered his DMs many times. So
absolutely. Absolutely. But
sure.
I'm the next event that I'm going to, probably my wife and I are going to be going down to Willow Springs again. We're going to drive the crash style event at Horse Thief. So if anyone's out there, come throw down. I'm super proud of my wife. She is actually taken to drifting quite fondly and is ripping now in the C5. So I'm proud for her. I know, Sarah, you'd probably be proud of another female drifter.
Yeah, chicks in drifting. Let's go.
Crushing it too. She's we did our first tandem. I posted a video of that. Like we were driving together. I was following her out there. We did a tandem. So I'm in a good place, and I'm super thankful for my family and my boys and everything. And
love that.
I'll see you guys at Long Beach.
Awesome, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, man.
Herbie, Sarah.
Yeah.
You got anything going on, Herbie, Sarah?
Same
just
old
building
shit.
that S14, man. Just trying to get all my 240s, all my eggs in one basket.
Get it done. Get it done.
That is an inspiration.
Yeah, he really is.
Yeah.
just sleep less. That helps, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Herbie, when I get my stuff dialed in, I'll hit you up and we can hop in on some sim rooms and you can show me around a little bit. Yeah.
I was just driving with Cole Richards before. Trent Beecham's on there all the time.
Yeah.
At least in the public.
He's teaching me some things too. It's
cool.
been fun. Yeah. And the sim community is great. Like you'll find people they're really helpful. They'll obviously Brandon, our other host here, he helped me with some setup points and now it feels great. So I'm just like, hey, thanks a lot, buddy. I mean, I'm sure you listen to so it's just the same thing, but you'll
find
community.
Mm-hmm. Same as real life on track drifting is the same in the sim community. So.
I do have a couple of people that I have a specific asshole tag for on there. It's not a big list. It's just
that's real life too, though. That's real life.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah. But again, guys, thank you everyone in the chat for coming out.
Thank you.
If you guys liked it, be sure to like and subscribe, do all that stuff. And a little preview from Thursday. Thursday, we have Nick Novak coming on. So it's the first time announcing that. So you guys enjoy.